Mecha and Sword. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Shenmue's Indignation and Determination. The audience dispersed because the hastily started fighting match was over. The second match between Ji Xinghe and Han Li ended with Ji Xinghe's crushing victory, just like Han Li defeated Ji Xinghe, who was also wearing armor, with a crushing attitude when wearing armor. No one would seriously discuss that the 34-year-old Federal Special Mecha Warrior Major Han Li, wearing an exclusive customized version of the 23rd generation of Federal Standard Mecha with 73 gold stars, defeated the 65-year-old private-level mechanic Ji Xinghe, who is wearing the first generation of Federal Standard Mecha. People would not even take this battle seriously. But after removing the armor, the 65-year-old Ji Xinghe defeated the 34-year-old Han Li, and this battle would be talked about by everyone. Not only because it was a change of victory and defeat, but also because it was not a matter of course. "I'm fine, Uncle Ji, are you okay?" Han Li asked with concern. If he hadn't been constantly rubbing his right fist, forearm, buttocks that were thrown to the ground many times, etc., no one around would think he was lying. "I'm fine. I do a lot of rough work and have a lot of calluses on my hands." Ji Xinghe stretched out his hands to Han Li. The thick calluses on them were like a layer of armor, which made Han Li's hands and feet hurt even more. "That's good." "Hey, don't, Han Li responded and then hurriedly spoke, stretching out his hand to block. "Uncle Ji, don't say that. As long as you want, you can treat me as, anyway, don't be polite to me. If you need help in the future, you must tell me. You can treat me as your son, and I can also treat you as your son and take care of you in your old age." But it's not auspicious to say it, and Han Li doesn't think he has the opportunity to help Ji Xinghe in his old age. He is a soldier, and this is a battlefield. Before the war is won, he is ready to sacrifice at any time. Then, Ji Xinghe didn't know what to say. Fortunately, Han Li didn't give Ji Xinghe time to speak. He said that military affairs were urgent and left directly. Before leaving, he also asked the people in base number 6 to take good care of Ji Xinghe, especially Shenmue, an expert mechanic who would also stay in base number 6, and Suhi, a war correspondent. "I think Major Han Li should go to the infirmary first, right?" Shenmue asked with some fear. He almost had to fight Ji Xinghe together with Han Li. Judging from the battle situation just now, it didn't make much difference whether he went up or not. It just changed from one person being beaten to flying around to two people being beaten to flying around. That should be the case. "I see that Major Han Li has bruises on his body, but it's okay." Suhi felt that he had said the wrong thing, and hurriedly added, "The medical technology in the base is very advanced. This kind of minor injury will not have any impact." Ji Xinghe felt even more guilty after hearing this. In fact, he was also excited about the fight. After all, he had always practiced boxing alone and imagined actual combat drills in his mind. This kind of battle was really the first time for him. The previous sparring with Ji Xinghe didn't count, because whether it was the father beating the son or the son beating the father, it was impossible to go all out. Ahem. After Suhi glanced at Ji Xinghe, he stared at Shenmue and asked directly, "Why, don't you have to report?" "No. Now all reports are made on the internet. I automatically reported as soon as I got off the spaceship. My mission log has not been updated yet. It says that I have 1 day to rest and arrange my personal life issues, as well as to familiarize myself with the environment. It's just right that I can get familiar with it with Lao Ji. I have checked, and our dormitories are very close." No expression. Suhi used his eyes to signal Shenmue frantically, but as an expert mechanic of science and engineering, how could Shenmue understand the eyes of Suhi, a war correspondent with a liberal arts background? At this moment, he was as excited as a child who took apart the computer at home for the first time, and he became a curious baby next to Ji Xinghe. "Lao Ji, what kind of boxing do you practice? Wow, I didn't expect you to be a peerless master." When Major Han Li said that, I thought, "Lao Ji, do you think I have talent? Am I the kind of martial arts genius who is 1 in a million? Do you need to touch my bones? I read that in martial arts novels. You touch me, don't be polite, come on, touch me casually." Suhi understood. It was not because Shenmue had no emotional intelligence, because he was from a science and engineering background. Science and engineering don't take the blame. It was simply because Shen Mu had a delusion that he shouldn't have. Ji Xinghe saw Suhi's helplessness, and he was also helpless now. After a little hesitation, he patted Shen Mu's shoulder. Actually, I have a granddaughter. Shen Mu was stunned. He didn't know about this at all. The Ji Xinghe he knew was the Ji Xinghe known to the public. When he was 65 years old, his son died on the battlefield. In order to avenge his son, he joined the army and went to a foreign planet. He crossed the Sea of Stars, but there was no romance, only battlefields filled with blood and corpses. For this reason, the Federation Major General Tu Yuan commented, at the age of 60, he also longs to fight in armor, not for glory, but because his ambition is not old. This sentence is also the opening preface of the documentary, The Old Man and the Sea of Stars. The old man is Ji Xinghe, but it is not just Ji Xinghe. There are many ordinary heroes who have fought on alien planets until they are old, and those who are about to fight until they are old. You tell him, I'll go over first. Can we not shoot this part? Ji Xinghe turned his head and looked at Suhi. Suhi's expression was a little embarrassed. The order he received was to record everything Ji Xinghe did on the alien planet, and then hand it over to professionals to edit the most needed content for the documentary. Although for some reasons, the relevant parties have not disclosed the fact that Ji Xinghe has a granddaughter, there are already many people who know about this matter. Being able to keep it secret for the time being does not mean that it can be kept secret in the future. And at some times, illegal behavior can also bring positive values, so Suhi's mission and profession forced him to refuse Ji Xinghe's request. But people are not mechas, people have feelings, so Suhi gritted his teeth. Okay, don't worry, Lao Ji, I'll take care of this matter. Ji Xinghe was a little helpless. It's not as exaggerated as you said. I roughly know the nature of your work and I won't make it difficult for you. I'm just worried that the child has been in a bad mood recently. We can make up for it after a while. Suhi breathed a sigh of relief. He thought Ji Xinghe didn't let him take pictures of the girl. With that said, he didn't have to worry about anything. I understand, I'm a war reporter, not a gossip reporter. I'm not so shameless and unscrupulous. Lao Ji, you go quickly, the child will be anxious waiting. Thank you. Ji Xinghe turned and left. He was going to see his granddaughter, while Suhi began to tell the story about the girl on the spot. After listening to it, Shen Mu got angry. What's wrong with this woman? If she doesn't want to leave the front line, then she should have taken protective measures. The child is so innocent. She is a nurse and works in the medical system. How could she not know that children born on alien planets are born with congenital defects? And Ji Xinghe, what's wrong with him? He didn't even know that his wife was pregnant. How could he give birth to the child with a bang? 10 months of pregnancy is a joke. He didn't even know that his daughter is 6 years old. Is he qualified to be a father? If he hadn't died in front of me, I would have beaten him up for Lao Ji, because he is not only not a qualified father, but also not a qualified son. Now let Lao Ji come to take care of his child. If something happens to the child's body, Lao Ji, Shen Mu's voice was a little choked. Suhi understood Shen Mu's mood very well and patted Shen Mu on the shoulder. You can't ask everyone to be a perfect saint. Ji Xinghe is not a qualified father, nor a qualified son, but he is a qualified soldier. No, not qualified, but very good. He is a combat hero who sacrificed for us and more people. Ms. Rong is not a qualified mother, but she is also a qualified soldier and a battlefield nurse who is brave enough to sacrifice herself. The reason why an accident is called an accident is because it cannot be controlled. If the two of them were still alive, they would be more sad than us. The suffering that Ms. Rong has endured in the past 6 years is unimaginable, and we can't empathize with her. I know. Shen Mu wiped his nose in tears, and said angrily, but I still want to beat Ji Xinghe, because they are forcing Lao Ji to be a perfect saint. Suhi sighed, you can't beat Ji Xinghe. Even if time can go back, you can't beat him. Yes, I can't beat him, and time can't go back. Shen Mu looked at the direction where Ji Xinghe left, and his sight showed Ji Xinghe's hunched back again. He felt a little distressed. He knew that this was because a grandfather who was a peerless master didn't know how to face his granddaughter. If time could go back, it would be great if Lao Ji could be younger. He is really a genius, whether it is designing mechas or fighting. Well, it's easy to have wild ideas when designing mechas, but it's understandable that he is not a professional. Suhi agreed, yes, he is really a genius. Although I don't understand fighting, I can see that he is really better than Major Hanli. Although I don't understand mecha design, I can see that you sincerely think that Lao Taoli has its merits. It's really not easy at such an old age, so do you want to help Lao Ji build his Lao Taoli? Shen Mu did not answer, but called out the holographic projection screen on the portable smart device, opened the blank task log, and wrote down a task issued by the non-base system: build Lao Taoli. It is to create Lao Taol, not to help Ji Xinghe create Lao Taol, but if Lao Taol can be created, it will definitely belong to Ji Xinghe. Chapter 27. Hello. Walking through the underground base, which was almost entirely made of metal, Ji Xinghe was actually a little nervous. It was not because he was in a completely unfamiliar environment, nor because he didn't know how to greet his granddaughter, but because he hadn't thought of a name for his granddaughter yet. People can't just have nicknames, they should also have full names, because people always have to grow up, and his granddaughter will definitely grow up safely. The internal structure of Base Number 6 and other bases of the Federation on alien planets is very complicated. It can be described as a city sunk underground, but it is definitely not as simple as a city sunk underground, because if you want to dig out an area as large as a city in the underground of an alien planet, the manpower and material resources consumed are unimaginable. Even though the engineering robots of the Federation are very advanced, the local area network deployed inside the base is extremely fast, allowing the engineers of the Federation to operate remotely. When building the base, the site selection has also been theoretically verified countless times. The area that already has underground space is selected, and it is also necessary to stack space in order to build more living space. Base number 6 has 36 floors and a total construction area of more than 862,000 square meters, which is larger than 120 standard football fields and can accommodate up to 50,000 people. The upper limit of the number of people who can survive is not the construction area, but the environment of the alien planet that is not suitable for human survival. If the necessary factors such as oxygen, drinking water, and food are not considered, the construction area of Base Number 6 can accommodate 100,000 people if it is on the Azure planet. In the face of the issue of life and death, humans do not need a mansion, but only a space to lie down. Ji Xinghe looked at the portable smart terminal on his wrist. In a sense, it is a mobile phone on the Azure planet. It is only connected to the local area network. Not only can it not talk directly with the Azure planet and transmit messages, it is also impossible to contact other living bases and military bases on the alien planet. The comprehensive application of holographic projection technology makes the size of this portable smart terminal very small, and it looks like a wristband. A green arrow appeared on the holographic projection screen on Ji Xinghe's wrist. Augmented reality technology makes this navigation module look like the head-up display function that was popular on cars decades ago. In addition to the navigation interface, there are 3 main prompt boxes on the holographic screen, namely notifications, task logs, and personal information. Needless to say, notifications are all kinds of notifications pushed by Base 6, including important news from the Azure Star and the battle information that can be made public on the alien battlefield, mainly the relevant daily information inside Base 6. Personal information is even more needless to say, as the name suggests. The task log is very important. Everyone in Base 6 and other bases has a task log. One day in advance, the base's artificial intelligence program and command center will push the work that everyone needs to complete the next day to everyone in the form of a task log. It is everyone, not just some people. Everyone living on the alien planet has a task. The difference lies in the frequency of obtaining task information and the importance level of the task content itself, completion time limit. In addition to daily tasks, the task log will also be based on the situation and the allocation of human resources. Everyone has different progress in completing daily tasks, and emergency tasks will be issued when necessary. Following the guidance of the green arrow, Ji Xinghe walked slowly forward and opened his mission log. There was no specific mission content in it, only a message of welcome to Base Number 6. The specific content was what Shen Mu had just said: find the residents assigned to you within 1 day, familiarize yourself with the main transportation routes and working environment, as well as the places to get supplies such as eating and fetching water, etc. Ji Xinghe opened his personal information panel. Name: Ji Xinghe. Gender: male. Age: 65. Rank: private. Arms: mechanic. Contribution points: 50,000. Years of military service: 3 months and 16 days. It looked like the personal information panel when playing games. Ji Xinghe was very familiar with it. The only thing he was not familiar with was the contribution points. He didn't understand why he had 50,000 contribution points. Contribution points are the universal currency on alien planets. Federation coins cannot be used normally here, and they cannot be directly exchanged for contribution points. If you want to get contribution points, you must make contributions on the alien front and contribute to the war between the Federation and the Empire. This is because contribution points can be directly exchanged for resources unique to alien planets, and the Federation also hopes to integrate the power of capital on the blue star in this way. Only with their power, try not to let those capitals affect the war as much as possible. However, the power of capital has always been pervasive. Snakes have snake ways and rats have rat ways, so there are unofficial black market exchange channels. The official also turns a blind eye to this, because all people living on alien planets actually want to return to the blue star to live, but they can't go back because of responsibilities and obligations. If they can go back, they need federal currency to maintain their lives. If their contribution points are exchanged for federal currency in the hands of the official, the exchange rate is only 1-to-1, which is not proportional to their efforts to obtain these contribution points. The exchange rate on the black market is 1-to-1.3. Generally, there is still a price but no market. For capital in need, a higher premium can be accepted. Ji Xinghe's house, pension, retirement pension, etc. were all entrusted to Peijing to handle the sale and one-time settlement. Peijing is also very efficient in doing things, and now everything is done. But he couldn't transfer the money to Ji Xinghe for use, because Ji Xinghe hadn't figured out where the black market channels were. Moreover, the technical difficulty of communicating with the blue star on the alien planet is not too great, but communication resources are very precious. Without direct communication, Ji Xinghe couldn't get his money, because Peijing didn't know whether he had arrived safely, so there was no such thing as remittance. Ji Xinghe wanted to create his old man music, and 50,000 contribution points were definitely not enough, and it was also far from enough to save his granddaughter. But before he started working, 50,000 contribution points appeared out of thin air in his account, which surprised Ji Xinghe. When he clicked on the account information, he realized that the money was transferred to him by Han Li. And it was not before he beat Han Li to fly around, but just after Han Li left. Ji Xinghe understood that Han Li didn't want him to refuse in person. In fact, Ji Xinghe is really short of money now. Although Tu Yuan said that the relevant parties would trade his granddaughter for free and let her return to the blue star as soon as possible, free medical resources are definitely not comparable to paid medical resources. Another reason is that being on an alien planet, Ji Xinghe feels that his granddaughter is not safe. It is better to rely on himself than on others. He needs to build his old man music to protect his granddaughter. Although he doesn't want to use the old man music, he must have it. He is a mechanic and has no qualifications or conditions to build his own mecha, so he has to buy it with money. Han Li helped him build momentum before because he knew this, and he transferred money to him because he knew this. But Ji Xinghe felt that he couldn't take this money, so he transferred it back directly. Ding! The message prompt sounded at the first time, and a line of text appeared on the holographic projection screen. The other party has set you to the transaction blacklist. Please contact the other party to remove the transaction blacklist restrictions before transferring the transaction. Ji Xinghe was stunned. Then he hurried to contact Han Li, but the contact failed because Han Li had left base number 6. He did not go to the medical room first as Shen Yu and Sui said, but took his mecha away from base number 6 as soon as possible, faster than Ji Xinghe went to see his granddaughter. After leaving the communication range inside the base, if you want to contact Han Li, you need a higher communication authority, which Ji Xinghe does not have. He is just a private soldier now. This child. Yes, Han Li, a 34-year-old federal major, is a child in Ji Xinghe's eyes, and he is about to meet another child, a real child. Coming to a metal door, Ji Xinghe knocked on the door gently, and then the metal door opened. A little girl stood by the door and looked up at Ji Xinghe. Ji Xinghe squatted down and whispered, "Hello, I'm your grandfather." The little girl's voice trembled a little. "Hello, I'm your granddaughter. P.S. I wish all bosses a prosperous year of the tiger and can earn a small goal." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Chocolate. Hello and hello. It doesn't sound like a conversation between a grandfather and a grandson when they meet for the first time, but rather like two unrelated adults. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that the little girl's mother got cancer unexpectedly, and it was discovered very late and it was already beyond help, Ji Xinghe might never have seen the little girl in his life, nor would he know that he had a granddaughter. Before Ji Xinghe's death, the girl's mother would not tell her because she was worried about Ji Xinghe's future. After Ji Xinghe's death, she would not tell her because she was worried about Ji Xinghe's reputation. The little girl should have depended on her mother for life, but her mother didn't have this life, so she only had her own life left, and she became Ji Xinghe's life. Do you know? If you hadn't appeared, I would have come to this planet, but I would have died in battle on this planet, and now I don't want to die, and I'm still afraid of death, because I'm afraid that no one will take care of you after I die. Ji Xinghe couldn't say what was in his heart. He felt that the little girl couldn't understand, and he didn't want the little girl to bear those things that she shouldn't bear at this age. 6 years old? No, she is actually only 5 years old. In 6 years, she was born on the 13th day of the 12th lunar month. She is already 2 years old before she is 1 month old. Her 6th birthday is still 8 months and 3 days away. But what he doesn't know is that the little girl can actually understand, and there are some words that the little girl can't say. Do you know? In fact, I am very scared. I almost forgot to say you just now, but my mother said that adults don't like impolite children. If you don't like me, you will not want me. I am very afraid that you will not want me, because my mother said that if you don't take care of me, I won't be able to grow up. I want to grow up, because when I grow up, I can go to the battlefield to avenge my father, and I can save many people like my mother. This is the first time the little girl has met Ji Xinghe today, and she wants to leave a good impression on Ji Xinghe. Her mother told her to be more sensible, but not to act too mature, otherwise it will scare the adults. She didn't know that her idea was not mature. If Aunt Wang, the nurse behind her, heard it, she would tell her, no one can be a special mecha warrior and a miracle doctor who can cure all kinds of incurable diseases at the same time, because people's time and energy are limited. It is impossible to reach the top level in two industries that require ordinary people to work hard for half a lifetime or even a lifetime. After greeting each other, there was silence. Nurse Wang, who brought the little girl over, walked out of the room to the back of the little girl and patted her back gently. Xinghe, don't you have a lot of questions to ask your grandfather? Now you can ask them. You can say whatever you want, right, Mr. Ji? Ji Xinghe nodded seriously as if he suddenly realized it, and looked at Xinghe with gentle eyes. Yes, you can say whatever you want, you can say anything. Grandpa will not leave, after all, she is a little girl. Xinghe opened her eyes wide and looked at Ji Xinghe. The figure reflected in her pupils was very clear. Grandpa will really not leave me. Xinghe's voice was still a little trembling. Will you not leave me like Dad? Won't you leave me like Mom? Ji Xinghe wanted to cry but he couldn't. He stretched out his right hand to Xinghe and whispered, no, Grandpa will not leave you. Grandpa will always be by your side to accompany you to grow up. You are 5 years old, I am 65 years old, you grow up at the age of 20, I only need to live another 15 years, my body is very good, I can live to 80 years old, I will definitely live to 80 years old. In his life, Ji Xinghe has never hoped that he can live to be 100 years old like he does now. His requirements are not high. He doesn't need to live to be 100 years old, but he can live to be 80 years old. Xinghe carefully placed her little hand in Ji Xinghe's right hand, feeling the warmth and reality brought by this calloused hand. She originally only put her right hand on it, and then carefully put her left hand on it. Her hands are very small, and both hands are placed in Ji Xinghe's hands, but they can only cover the palms. When she put down her left hand, she was not only very careful, but also looked at Ji Xinghe's eyes carefully, as if she would withdraw her left hand and the right hand she put down as long as she saw a little dissatisfaction. But she did not see any dissatisfaction in Ji Xinghe's eyes, but the same tenderness, heartache and care as in her mother's eyes. Yes, Grandpa's eyes are the same as Mother's eyes, and Grandpa's hands are as warm as Mother's hands. Not Mother's hands in recent months, but Mother's hands in the past. In recent times, Mother's hands have been cold. They said it was because Mother was infused every day, and the water in those bottles looked very cold. Ji Xinghe looked at Xinghe's eyes and movements, and his body couldn't help shaking. He didn't shake when he went to Xinfeng City to steal the police station's single-soldier starship, He didn't shake when he faced the federal Major General Tu Yuan. He didn't shake when he ran 10 kilometers in 35 minutes. He didn't shake when he faced the special mecha warrior Han Li, but now he can't control it. Nurse Wang, who had been watching Xinghe, wiped away her tears. This was the second time she cried today, but this time it was a silent cry because she didn't want to affect the grandfather and grandson. Xinghe didn't cry. She just felt that Ji Xinghe's hands were very warm and real, which made her want to speak, but she didn't know where to start. Children have weak ability to choose words and make sentences, and their language organization skills are often disorganized. Ji Xinghe took a silent deep breath, and he lowered his head even more while squatting, because he was afraid that the air he exhaled would blow on Xinghe's face. How could he, who wanted to protect Xinghe from the wind and rain, bring wind and rain to Xinghe? Xinghe, are you hungry? Xinghe is not hungry. Xinghe just had a meal. Grandpa, are you hungry? Xinghe has 2 boxes of chocolate biscuits. Both are for Grandpa. Biscuits are not rare on alien planets. The crops on alien planets can be self-sufficient, but chocolate is rare. The limited arable land resources will not be used to grow cocoa trees, nor will they be used to grow coffee trees, tea trees and other non-essential crops. So these 2 boxes of chocolate biscuits are very precious to Xinghe, and to many people on alien planets. Grandpa is not hungry. Xinghe, do you like chocolate? Grandpa will buy it for you. Ji Xinghe asked a question, and then started to talk along with Xinghe's words. After having a beginning, the rest will be much easier. Nurse Wang next to him hesitated to speak. She wanted to say that the chocolate at base number 6 was really expensive, and she knew that Ji Xinghe had little money and no ability to make money. It was already precious to be able to come to the alien planet from the blue planet. But she was too embarrassed to say it directly, so she gritted her teeth in her heart and decided to buy a few chocolates and secretly give them to Ji Xinghe as a gift for Ji Xinghe when he first met his granddaughter. Xinghe doesn't want to eat it. Mom said that eating chocolate will cause tooth decay. The little girl said no and gave a reason, but her eyes were full of desire. This was not something she could control at her age. How could a child refuse the temptation of candy and chocolate? Ji Xinghe smiled happily, and was more grateful to Han Li in his heart. He squatted at the door and opened his portable smart terminal, found the entrance to the online mall of base number 6, and searched for chocolate, and then he was stunned. A chocolate with a diameter of 3 centimeters, 300 contribution points, the premium is more than 10 times? But this premium is acceptable to everyone on the alien planet, because they don't come to the alien planet to enjoy life, they just need to survive. They just want more people to live safely on the blue planet. I have it, Mr. G. Nurse Wang quickly opened her portable smart terminal. All adults on the alien planet have this portable smart terminal. The only one who doesn't have it is Xinghe, who has been born on the alien planet for so many years and still lives on the alien planet. Ling. The prompt sound came from Ji Xinghe's smart terminal. Because it was a holographic projection screen, Nurse Wang clearly saw that Ji Xinghe bought 10 at a time. 3,000 contribution points were her basic salary for 1 month. This old man is very rich? No, it's not that this old man is very rich, it's just that he is very generous and willing to spend money on his granddaughter. As soon as Nurse Wang was moved, Xinghe's crying sounded. Xinghe doesn't want chocolate, woo woo woo. Grandpa, don't buy chocolate for Xinghe. Xinghe doesn't want Grandpa to not want Xinghe. Ji Xinghe panicked. Grandpa wants Xinghe. Grandpa said that he will not leave Xinghe until Xinghe grows up, but Mom said that if Xinghe spends money recklessly, woo-woo. Grandpa will not want Xinghe, because Grandpa has no money. Grandpa is old and can't make money. Mom is wrong. Grandpa has money. Grandpa can still make money. Grandpa can still make a lot of money. Look, Grandpa still has a lot of money. Ji Xinghe showed his account balance, and was worried that Xinghe didn't understand. Xinghe understood, her crying stopped, but her tears did not stop. Her 2 big eyes with tears looked at the screen in front of her, and her voice was still choked. Then can you save it? Sell the chocolate, save it, save money. You don't have to sell the chocolate. Grandpa buys it for Xinghe to eat. Grandpa can still make money and save money. Xinghe, what do you want to buy? Tell Grandpa. Grandpa will buy it for you. The topic was changed, but Xinghe didn't dare to answer. Ji Xinghe carefully wiped the tears from Xinghe's cheek with his left hand, for fear that the calluses on his hands would scratch Xinghe's white skin that was so pale that it didn't look bloody. The warmth of his hands gave Xinghe courage. Xinghe wants to buy mecha. Xinghe wants to avenge her father. Ji Xinghe's movement stopped, even his breathing stopped, just like when he got the news of Ji Xinghe's sacrifice. Chapter 29, The Light Will Be Revived. After the chocolates were bought, they were not sold. The intelligent robot of base number 6 delivered the goods very quickly. 10 chocolates were delivered to Xinghe's room, the room that Xinghe's mother left for her. The room was very small, like a large room in a hotel, with 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom, but the area was only 10 square meters. There was no furniture or electrical appliances in it, only a single bed, a table, a chair, and a wardrobe. Looking at the clumsy figure of the delivery robot, Ji Xinghe felt sorry. If the robot technology and artificial intelligence technology of the Federation could be improved to a higher level, then perhaps there would be no need for humans to drive mechas to fight in person. It would be good to be able to drive remotely. But Ji Xinghe knew that this was a luxury. The battle situation was changing rapidly, and the complex environment of the alien planet would make the communication conditions on the surface battlefield very difficult. Many times, communication between people would be affected, not to mention remote-controlled mechas or combat robots. The built-in intelligent combat program in the mechas and combat robots is like the intelligent driving system of a car. If all cars use intelligent driving systems, and the cloud server provides supercomputing power to intelligently allocate and plan the driving path and speed of the car, there will be no car accidents. But as long as someone chooses automatic driving, like the 13 young masters of Xinfeng City who was beaten by Ji Xinghe before, there is a high probability of a car accident. The more people who drive automatically, the less reliable the intelligent driving program will be, because artificial intelligence cannot calculate the complex human mind, and the Empire's mechas are not under the management of the Federation's artificial intelligence. The speed of the 13 young masters of Xinfeng City also exceeded the speed allocated by the intelligent driving program, which means that if the Federation uses this mature technology, the Empire's mechas will easily crush the Federation's mechas. This room was left by Sister Wrong. We all live in a dormitory here. If you want to apply for a separate house, you need to spend contribution points. Nurse Wang looked at the grandfather and grandson who had calmed down a little, and began to explain the instructions given by Xinghe's mother before she left. Sister Wrong doesn't want Xinghe to live in a dormitory because she will be bullied by other children. In fact, the children don't have any bad intentions. They just... So Sister Wrong applied for this separate housing, and she hasn't been able to save any money over the years because Xinghe still has some expenses. The children don't have any bad intentions. They just shouldn't be confined to this space to grow up. They need the blue sky and fresh air with the smell of grass and trees instead of the artificial air in the base. They need a playground. If there is no playground, at least there should be some toys, but the base doesn't have these, and there are not many of the things that children need. Xinghe's treatment is free. Even if she was born in violation of regulations, the child is innocent, and the Federation is full of humanity. However, the Federation is not rich, especially on alien planets that are very poor in many resources. The free treatment that the base can provide is actually very average. Ms. Wrong hopes that her daughter can return to the Azure Star as soon as possible, so she has been spending money. According to her original plan, Xinghe will recover her physical condition at the age of 8, to the extent that she can take a spaceship back to the Azure Star and survive in the environment of the Azure Star. As for herself, she will continue to work on the alien planet, or to fight. Although she is just a nurse, her work on the alien planet is also to fight for the Federation and for humanity. But things don't go as planned, and accidents happen unexpectedly. Suhi said that no one can empathize with Ms. Wrong's inner torment, which is true. Ji Xinghe received another transfer, 10,000 contribution points, which is all the wealth left by Ms. Wrong after she left. The monthly rent of this room is 2,000, which is much cheaper than chocolate, and Xinghe really needs a separate living space. So, I know, I will continue to rent it. Ji Xinghe nodded. He didn't agree or promise, because this was his responsibility and obligation, and it was what he wanted to do. Nurse Wang hesitated. She didn't know where Ji Xinghe got the 50,000 contribution points, but he had just used up 3,000. This lavish way of spending money was indeed a kind of love for his granddaughter, but also a waste of resources. My basic salary is 3,000 yuan per month. Mr. Ji, you should be about the same as me. I heard that you are an ordinary mechanic and your performance should not be as good as mine. Well, I can transfer some of it to you every month in the future. Some of my colleagues have also taken the initiative to talk about this matter. We can probably. No, really no, thank you. Ji Xinghe refused. He could ask for the money left by Ms. Rong, but he could not ask for the money of Nurse Wang and more colleagues. It was not easy for everyone on the alien planet. The basic salary is determined by the job function. In addition to the basic salary, the most important thing is performance. You can get the basic salary by completing the daily tasks assigned by the base, but this money is very little compared to their contributions, even if it is exchanged at a black market price. If you want to make money, you need to complete additional tasks, which is what everyone calls performance. It is a little different from the interpretation of performance on the Azure Star, but it is probably the same. Although if everyone on the alien planet just wants to make money, referring to the income level of the same job function and workload on the Azure Star, their income can be 2 to 3 times. But considering the high price of non-essentials such as chocolate, and the fact that people can not only demand necessities like machines, everyone's life is indeed not well off. It's okay, Mr. G, no matter how hard it is, we can't let the children suffer. There are many of us, and each of us earns more than you. Well, don't get me wrong, I don't mean that, I know, thank you, but I really don't need it. I can really make money and save money. I also want to buy a mecha for Xinghe, Ji Xinghe said, looking at Xinghe who was staring at the chocolate in a daze. No matter how sensible she was just a child, so she was very entangled in her heart now. When she heard Ji Xinghe talking about a mecha, she looked away with difficulty, perhaps because the chocolate brought some good mood, even if she hadn't eaten it yet. Grandpa, can you build a mecha? Mom said you are a very good mechanic. If Xinghe's mecha breaks down in the future, Grandpa can help Xinghe fix it, just like Mom used to treat people. If Grandpa can build a mecha, then Grandpa can build one for Xinghe, so that we can save a lot of money, Nurse Wang sighed in her heart. She really wanted to tell her child that your mother is not a doctor, but just a nurse. She really wanted to tell her child that your grandpa is not an expert mechanic, but just an ordinary mechanic who repairs cars. He can't repair mechas or build them. Ji Xinghe didn't dare to say that he could build a mecha, because his old man Li was criticized by many people such as Shen Mu, and he didn't really build one. He could lie to the child, anyway, the child would not remember it when he grew up, and would not take it seriously even if he remembered it, but he was unwilling to lie to his granddaughter. Grandpa doesn't know how to do it yet, but he's learning. When he learns, he'll build Xinghe a very powerful mecha. Nurse Wang thought Ji Xinghe was lying to the child, but what she didn't know was that Ji Xinghe was telling the truth. He was indeed learning how to make and repair mechas, and he was capable of doing that. It's a very powerful mecha, but not the most powerful in the world. Xinghe clapped her hands happily. Grandpa, you're awesome. Let's learn together. Xinghe also wants to learn. Xinghe also wants to be a doctor and save many people like Mom. Let's make a pinky promise. Xinghe said what she hadn't dared to say just now, but she still asked with some fear, can I? Yes, of course. Come on, let's make a pinky promise and don't change it for 100 years. Ji Xinghe stretched out his hand, and Xinghe smiled and stretched out her hand. The traces of tears on her face had not completely disappeared, but she was smiling now. Hook and hang, don't change for 100 years, Xinghe said in a joyful voice. Grandpa is a very powerful mechanic, and Grandpa is also a peerless master. So Xinghe can also be a very powerful doctor, and a very powerful mecha warrior. Nurse Wang sighed in her heart again. It is indeed a dream that only children have. But she can understand why Xinghe has such an unrealistic dream. This child just wants to save her father and mother, and save many people like her father and mother. Yes, Xinghe can do it, because Grandpa did it, Ji Xinghe said firmly. Grandpa is not only a very powerful mechanic, but also a peerless master, and a very powerful mecha warrior. These are all things that Ji Xinghe was unwilling to admit before, or he was not confident. But at this moment he decided that he must do it, even though he is 65 years old this year, already in his 60s, close to the limits of human learning ability and body. He once said to his son, "Son, don't believe in limits, because if you don't believe it, it doesn't exist." At this moment, Ji Xinghe, who is on an alien planet, seemed to hear Ji Xinghe, who died on this planet, say to him, "Dad, don't believe in the limit, because if you don't believe in it, it doesn't exist." Ji Xinghe didn't want to, and couldn't believe in the limit, because he wanted to be a role model for his granddaughter. Humans need role models, and they need beliefs to fight for their whole lives. Ji Xinghe has no role models, but he can be a role model for his granddaughter, And his granddaughter is the belief he fights for the rest of his life. He has no life. Only the rest of his life, but even if it is a last ray of light, he will make the remaining light shine again, and it will shine for another 15 years, until his granddaughter comes of age. P.S. Happy New Year, bosses. I wish you all a Happy New Year, and I wish you all good fortune, longevity, and good health for your family in the new year. Chapter 30 War is not a dinner party. Lao Ji sent a message. He asked us to go to the restaurant and said he would treat us to a meal. After Shen Mu saw the message on the portable smart terminal like a bracelet, he couldn't wait to start navigating. Su, he next to him also saw the message on the bracelet that Ji Xinghe wanted to treat him to a meal. Treating people to a meal is a tradition in Longzhou, but it seems a bit precious on the alien planet. As a war correspondent, Su he is not the first time to come to the alien planet, so he knows better than Shen Mu, a newcomer who went to the Research Institute for further studies after graduating from school and came to the alien planet after learning a lot of skills. Don't worry, do you know how expensive it is to treat people to a meal here? Su he pointed on the screen of the bracelet and sent a message to Ji Xinghe, saying, I'll talk to Lao Ji again. There's no need to do this on the alien planet. When we get to the hotel, we can go to the restaurant and get a meal for each person, and sit together to eat it. The alien base provides food and accommodation. Otherwise, based on the average salary level of all the staff in the base, it is not enough to cover the cost of food and water, and 3 meals a day cannot be afforded. Whether it is the daily necessities transported from the Azure Star or the daily necessities planted and manufactured on the alien planet, the high cost is enough to make the federal financial institutions feel painful. This is also one of the reasons why everyone's salary level has not achieved a leapfrog increase. The Federation really can't afford it. As for Lao Ji, he must like these things at his age and think these things are meaningful. Shen Mu glanced at the account balance displayed on his bracelet. Because he is an expert mechanic, he has a subsidy of 32,300 contribution points. He is the richest person among the passengers on the same spaceship, except for Han Li, a special mecha warrior. How about this? I will raise some money for Lao Ji, and he can pay me back after he returns to the Blue Star. He still has to treat me to a meal. Although what I said just now, but Lao Ji has met his granddaughter, this is a happy event, of course he has to treat me to a meal. Su he was stunned. Pay it back after returning to the Blue Star? You're thoughtful, but it's really unnecessary. Let's be rational. Even if you want to help Lao Ji, you can use the money to help him make Lao Tally. We also have to tell Lao Ji that the problem of survival on the alien front is not about treating people to dinner, but about war. Some bad habits on the Blue Star need to be corrected because the resources here are really tight. Shen Mu was also stunned for a moment. He looked at the drone floating beside Suhi and curled his lips and said, Don't tell me you are recording now. Yes, I'm already recording, Suhi said seriously. This conversation of ours has also been recorded, and the previous one has also been recorded. However, the previous one may not be broadcast, but this one I think can be broadcast, so that the people on the Blue Star can better understand how difficult our life on the alien planet is, and let them know how much these people on the front line have paid for the Federation. Cough. Shen Mu turned his back to Suhi, and Suhi's micro-camera drone tidied his hair before turning around, with a righteous face. Yes, survival on an alien planet is not a dinner party. Comrade Lao Ji's ideological awareness needs to be improved. We should verbally reject this bad habit, because all resources on the alien planet should not be wasted. Suhi smiled. Okay, stop pretending. No one likes to see the way you say it. Not many people will truly agree with pure preaching. I have never liked reports like yours. As a reporter, I think my duty is only to report the facts and truth that I have witnessed. As for what kind of feelings these facts and truths can bring to the people who see them, that is a matter of opinion. Shen Mu looked at Suhi suspiciously. How many days did you think about this line? I didn't think about it in advance, but if you want to ask me when I had this idea, it was when I was in high school. At that time Okay, record what you want to say later. Let's go find Lao Ji first. If he doesn't reply to the message, he must be sending messages to many people. What if too many people are invited and the words are out again? My money is not enough to pay for him. Shen Mu took Suhi and ran to find Ji Xinghe. Relying on the navigation on the bracelet screen, the two of them found the place familiarly. Although Suhi had been to the alien planet before, he had not been to base number 6 at that time, so he also needed the navigation system now. Ji Xinghe did not send messages to many people. Among the 1,000 people who came with him, many mecha warriors and soldiers like Han Li had to rush to the military camp as soon as they arrived. The military camp and the base were not together. For the people of the Azure Star, as long as they are on the alien planet, they are on the front line, but for the people on the alien planet, the military camp is the real front line. The base is also under the protection of the military camp to provide living supplies and war preparations for the military camp. A large part of the remaining people have not even spoken directly to Ji Xinghe. When Ji Xinghe designed the old man's music, they could not provide any help, but just watch the fun. It's not because they don't want to help, but because their professions are not suitable. There are only a few dozen people who really know Ji Xinghe and stay in base number 6, but because of Xingxin's identity, Ji Xinghe can't invite them to dinner for the time being, and he will make up for it later. He only invited Suhi and Shen Mu, as well as Nurse Wang and some of her colleagues. But just as Suhi wanted to stop Ji Xinghe from treating them, Nurse Wang and others have been in the alien base for many years, and they know that treating people to dinner here is really not a simple matter, so they all refused. It's not that they don't give face, they don't want to draw a line, and they don't want to have a good meal. It's just that they are all adults and people who are willing to make sacrifices, so they know that the desire for food and drink has no meaning in this war that concerns the survival of the Federation and mankind. If it is for the purpose of enjoying life, with their professional skills, they are at least a middle class on the Blue Star. For people like Nurse Wang, it is easy to work as a nurse in some private hospitals with a monthly salary of 10,000 or 20,000 federal coins, and it is also easy to be a head nurse, but she insists on working on the alien planet with a basic salary of 3,000 contribution points. She has to grit her teeth and make up her mind to buy a few chocolates as gifts. Why? Grandpa, Xingxin doesn't want new clothes. Xingxin already has clothes to wear. Xingxin pulled Ji Xinghe's sleeve and forcefully pulled Ji Xinghe's hand away from the bracelet screen. The expression on her face looked a little angry. Grandpa, how could you be so ignorant and just spend money recklessly? Ji Xinghe didn't think he was wasting money. He saw the clothes in the closet in the room. There were only 3 sets of identical clothes. Not only were these 3 sets of clothes exactly the same, but the clothes of everyone in the entire base were almost exactly the same, with only the professional logo and epaulets on the chest being different. This is to save resources, but for Ji Xinghe, an old man who had been living on the Blue Star before, his granddaughter should be dressed beautifully. The temperature inside the base is a constant 22 degrees, and you can wear a pretty little skirt, but there is none in the store. Okay, Grandpa won't buy it, Grandpa will make it for Xingxin. Ji Xinghe switched off the store interface. He could see that Xingxin was a little unhappy, so he felt a little distressed, because he knew it was not that Xingxin didn't want it, nor that Xingxin didn't know that there were still clothes of various styles in the world. The most resources in the base actually came from the various entertainment resources of the Blue Star. 10,000 movies plus 10,000 TV series plus 1 million novels can be transported in a small box the size of a palm. Everyone's bracelet screen can share these entertainment resources. Xingxin has seen those beautiful little skirts, toys, playgrounds, blue skies and green grasslands. But Xingxin doesn't want to spend money indiscriminately, she is too sensible. Grandpa is good. Xingxin patted the back of Ji Xinghe's hand and smiled. There was a knock on the door, and Shen Mu and Suhi came. When opening the door, Suhi turned off his drone camera. Although he could edit, he didn't want to shoot because the editing rights were not in his hands. It's okay. Ji Xinghe noticed the change in the light on the drone that represented the camera being turned on, and took Xingxin's hand and said, I asked Xingxin, and she said yes. Suhi smiled awkwardly and turned on the camera, but he didn't know what to say. He talked a lot of big talk in front of Shen Mu, but when facing Ji Xinghe and Xingxin, the grandfather and grandson, he felt a little blocked in his heart. Xingxin said yes, but she didn't know what it meant. She just said yes because she knew that the adults wanted it. Little friend is so beautiful. Shen Mu was different. He squatted in front of Xingxin enthusiastically. What's your name? Can you tell your uncle? My name is Xingxin, and I'm 6 years old this year. Gorilla. Shen Mu was stunned. The Federation was too sensitive to the word orangutan. Prosperous Xingxin. Xingxin obviously hadn't encountered this problem for the first time, and explained seriously, my mother's surname is wrong. Shen Mu's eyes were red again. This science and engineering man was actually more emotional than the liberal arts man. He didn't know what to say. They were all men who had no experience in facing children. Old G, I won't treat you. Sui changed the subject. Let's just eat something casually. You can take the children around the base and let's get familiar with the situation. Little Xinghe, can you be a guide for the three of us? Just show us the way, of course. Xinghe knows what a guide means. Xinghe is very familiar with the roads. Xinghe happily agreed and was indeed very familiar with the roads in the base, because she was born and grew up in this base. The building area of more than 800,000 square meters is very large for a child, but this is her whole world. Okay, I won't treat you. Let's just eat something casually. I took it for granted. Ji Xinghe had the courage to admit his mistakes. His granddaughters were very sensible, so he had to be sensible too. Ji Xinghe squatted down and looked at Xinghe and asked, where does Xinghe want to take us first? Xinghe tilted her head and thought seriously for a while before saying seriously, let's go see the cars and watch them repair them. Ji Xinghe was a little happy. Xinghe, do you like cars very much? Grandpa is very good at repairing cars. Xinghe likes it, and Mom said that when Grandpa goes to repair cars in the future, Xinghe should watch quietly by the side. Xinghe said she liked it, but the three adults could see that she didn't like it, but it was just because of her mother's instructions. Ji Xinghe thought of Xinghe's wish just now, cars and mechas, which one do you like more? Xinghe, Xinghe hesitated for a while before telling the truth, but her voice was a little small, and she lowered her head. I like mechas more. Then let's go see mechas first. Ji Xinghe's big hand gently stroked Xinghe's little head, because Grandpa will not only repair cars in the future, but also mechas. Okay. Xinghe was really happy this time. Therefore, Shenmue and Sui did not expose Ji Xinghe's lie. Ji Xinghe is just an ordinary mechanic. He has no qualifications and ability to repair mechas, even if he designed the Lao Tali. If the Lao Tali can really be considered a mecha, it would not be called Lao Tali. Chapter 31, Lao Ji, are you cheating? Fortunately, Shenmue was there, otherwise the four of them would not be able to enter the mecha area. Because it was not time for dinner yet, everyone went directly to see the mecha. However, each area inside the base has corresponding authority settings, and people without relevant authority cannot enter it under normal circumstances. The host Xinghe was too young to know why. Ji Xinghe and Shenmue only knew the rules but not the reasons. Only Sui, a war correspondent who came to the alien planet for the second time, knew. There was actually no permission setting before. At that time, the base was not so big, and everyone could go wherever they wanted. The living space was too small, and being too restricted would drive people crazy. But, Sui glanced at Xinghe, lowered his voice and spoke faster, but some people still went crazy. The survival pressure here is too great, and it's not just the pressure of survival and life. Sometimes the front line can't hold on, and the Imperial Army may rush into the base at any time. That kind of terror is not something that everyone can bear. And when people are crazy, they often do something crazy that harms others and does not benefit themselves. An accident had occurred in base number 2 before, causing great casualties and losses, so there were permission settings. Under normal circumstances, you can't go to some core areas without permission, and this permission setting will only be lifted in an abnormal emergency. Shenmue also glanced at Xinghe, and noticed that Xinghe was following Ji Xinghe excitedly, walking on the left for a while, and then running to the right to hold Ji Xinghe's right hand, so he asked back, but the more emergency the situation, the more likely it is to have problems? If the permission blockade is unlocked at that time, what if there are still people? It depends on the understanding of the emergency state. If some areas of the base are damaged, the oxygen supply system and the constant temperature system are destroyed. If the blockade is not lifted to allow people in those areas to go to the safe area, it is tantamount to letting them go. Ji Xinghe and Shenmue both understood that the main body of the base was built underground on the alien planet, but the soil and rocks could not completely isolate the loss of oxygen and temperature. If the metal walls were destroyed, or the supply pipelines in the relevant areas were destroyed, the people staying in it would be exposed to the alien planet's unsuitable ecological environment for human survival, which was tantamount to letting them die. Moreover, in an emergency, the core area must be guarded by someone. Even if someone really went crazy because they could not bear the pressure, they would be controlled before causing harm. Following the navigation and Xinghe, they arrived at the mecha area in a short time. The building area of more than 800,000 square meters sounds large, but after averaging to the 36th floor, the area of each floor is not large. A square of 100 meters is 10,000 square meters. Shen Mu swiped his bracelet to obtain the authorization to enter, but the metal door did not open directly. The electronic voice reminded, Second Lieutenant Shen Mu, please confirm that you want to take Private Ji Xinghe, Suhi, and Xinxin into the Mecha area. Suhi has no military rank. He is a war correspondent and a rare person on the alien planet without a military rank. Nurse Wang has a military rank. Confirm. After Shen Mu answered, the voice recognition program successfully authenticated and the metal door opened. This metal door is not tall and can only accommodate 4 people entering side by side. Ji Xinghe can touch the door frame without stretching his hand. But after the metal door opened, a huge space appeared in the side of several people. This is a space with an area of more than 50,000 square meters. It is one of the 3 largest areas in the entire base. The other 2 areas are the planting area and the hangar. Although the area is large, there are not many people in it. There are only more than 1,000 people scattered into more than 100 teams. Each team has one or several mechas, as well as their tool tables and various operating equipment. The door that Ji Xinghe and others came in through was not the only one. In this huge space with a ceiling of more than 8 meters, there are 40 similar doors, and 4 large doors are used to pass mechas and vehicles. The small door is only enough for 4 people to pass side by side at the same time, but the large door can allow 6 mechas to pass side by side at the same time. Ding ding dang dang, buzzing, clicking, pricking. As soon as they entered the door, all kinds of sounds mixed and rushed to the ears of Ji Xinghe and others, making the 4 people lose their voices for a while. Even Suhi, who had been to the Mecha area of another base before, felt shocked when he saw such a scene again. It was not because of the area of 50,000 square meters, not because of more than 1,000 people, not because of hundreds of mechas, nor because of those mechanical arms, but because these people are doing their best to repair and manufacture the strongest war weapons of the Federation on the alien front. If there were no mechas, humans would have been defeated long ago on alien planets where various high-tech weapons of the Federation could not be effectively applied. After the alien planet is lost, the gorillas and monkeys of the Empire will rush to the blue planet when the alien planet is closest to the blue planet in a few years, or even without waiting until that time. Is there really a big difference between a 3-month space journey and a 1-month space journey? Second Lieutenant Shen Mu, your reporting time is 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. An officer with the rank of lieutenant colonel strode over expressionlessly. He had learned the identity information of Shen Mu and others from his bracelet. After reminding Shen Mu, he looked at Suhi and Ji Xinghe. Reporter Suhi, you have not applied for interview and filming permissions. Please turn off your camera immediately and report the purpose of your visit truthfully. Private Ji Xinghe, you do not have permission to come here. Please leave immediately. If Han Li, Shen Mu, Suhi, Nurse Wang and others used their enthusiasm and care to tell Ji Xinghe the common sense of people on the alien planet. Then this lieutenant colonel officer used his indifference and harsh words to tell Ji Xinghe that the military law on the alien planet is ruthless. Shen Mu is an expert mechanic, but he is also a soldier, so he dare not argue. He just regrets that he didn't understand it clearly and patted his chest to say that he could bring Ji Xinghe and others here. So he is a war correspondent. He knows that military law is ruthless, so he is ready to turn off his camera first and then talk about it. He actually has the authority to film all non-military confidential things on the alien planet, because the protagonist of the documentary The Old Man and the Sea of Stars is Ji Xinghe, but not just Ji Xinghe. But Ji Xinghe's voice interrupted his behavior of turning off the camera. Sir, I have the authority to come here. Ji Xinghe stood in front of Xinxin, who took 2 steps back because of fear, holding Xinxin's right hand behind his back, and putting his left hand on it. Shen Mu and Suhi were stunned for a moment. They wanted to persuade Ji Xinghe not to make trouble. This was not a joke, but the lieutenant colonel officer had already said expressionlessly, Private Ji Xinghe, please take out your authority certificate immediately, it's over. Lao Ji will be subject to military law on his first day on the alien planet. When Shen Mu and Suhi sighed in their hearts, Ji Xinghe exerted a little force with his right hand, and Xinxin very sensibly let go of her hand, but her little hand was still held in Ji Xinghe's left hand. Sir, can I ask Lieutenant Shen Mu or reporter Suhi to operate my bracelet? Yes, the seemingly cold and ruthless lieutenant colonel officer actually has human feelings. He never looked at Xinxin with his cold eyes from beginning to end, nor did he say that Xinxin was the person with the least authority to come here. Shen Mu reached out his hand immediately. After all, he was a mechanic with fast hands and very stable hands. My personal information, Original professional information contains some qualification certificates. Shen Mu quickly found the relevant information, which was more than what the Xinfang Chang Police Department could find. In fact, it was because they did not check the professional qualification certificates. It was also much more than Shen Mu had imagined. Automobile mechanical repairer certificate, automobile electrical repairer certificate, automobile body plastic repairer certificate, automobile body painting repairer certificate, automobile beauty and decoration worker certificate, low voltage electrical worker certificate, automobile used car appraiser certificate, melting welding and thermal cutting worker certificate. If the previous ones were all related to the auto repair major and Shen Mu did not look surprised, then the latter ones made Shen Mu's fingers tremble as he flipped the screen. Registered mechanical engineer, registered metallurgical engineer, registered mining mineral engineer, civil aircraft pilot certificate, metal rolling personnel certificate, light non-ferrous metal smelting personnel certificate, mold worker, foundry worker, forger, metal heat treatment worker, turner, milling worker, electric cutting worker, welder, electrician. Pull down, and pull down. Ji Xinghe had a blank expression on his face, not because he was angry. He knew that being a lieutenant colonel was just doing his duty, just like his son had chosen to fight to the death. It was just because he felt that these certificates were meaningless because the test was too easy, so he urged Shen Mu, who wanted to see more clearly, to scroll down quickly. There was a professional qualification certificate that he felt was quite difficult, and it was also proof that he had the authority to come here. Yes, that's it. After swiping for more than 10 seconds, Shen Mu finally stopped, clicked it, and was stunned. Old Ji, are you cheating? Chapter 32. Who are you? I really didn't cheat. Ji Xinghe, as the king of glory in the game Star Glory, naturally knew what cheating meant. He was 65 years old and felt a little behind the times, but in fact he could keep up. Shen Mu's finger stopped at the occupation information of the fitter. After clicking it, there were 4 categories: ordinary fitter, machine repair fitter, tool fitter, and fitter. The first 3 are normal types of fitters, and the levels are junior, intermediate, senior, technician, and senior technician. The 3 types of fitters that Ji Xinghe possesses are all the highest level of senior technicians. But these 3 professional qualification certificates, which Shen Mu believed that ordinary people would never be able to obtain at the same time in their lifetime, were not the most difficult ones for Ji Xinghe, nor were they the most shocking to Shen Mu. Fitter? Level 8. Shen Mu looked at Ji Xinghe stupidly. Lao Ji, if you didn't cheat, then you just made up things when filing in your personal information. This is not a joke, really not. I didn't fill in this information at the time. After I authorized it, the system automatically connected to the database of the Federal Bureau of Human Resources and Social Security's official website and obtained it automatically. Then you hacked into the Federal Bureau of Human Resources and Social Security's official website and tampered with your professional qualification certificate information. To inquire about professional qualification certificates, you have to go to the Federal Bureau of Human Resources and Social Security's official website. Just like academic qualifications can only be inquired on relevant official websites. You will only check when you need to, and you won't check when you don't need to. Inquiries also require authorization. Many people falsify their academic qualifications, and it takes a long time for them to be discovered by someone with ulterior motives, not to mention professional qualification certificates that no one usually pays attention to. Facing Shen Mu's doubts and persistence, Ji Xinghe said calmly, "Really not. I took the exam myself." "What the hell did you take the exam for?" Shen Mu was too excited and spoke without thinking, which made the lieutenant colonel officer and Suhi frown. Xin didn't frown but frowned and stared at Shen Mu, but Shen Mu couldn't see it. The level division of the 8th level fitter was cancelled in the last century. You are 65 years old, not 165 years old. Where did you get the 8th level fitter certificate? This is the real reason why Shen Mu was persistent. Even if the first 3 fitter certificates were the highest level of senior technicians, Shen Mu didn't care or was shocked, because he also had these 3 certificates. But Ji Xinghe's professional level certificate also has a separate fitter, 8th level, which is simply incredible and a most easily exposed lie. It's okay to be exposed by Shen Mu, but if it's exposed by the lieutenant colonel, then it will be a big problem. Shen Mu's persistence was not to expose Ji Xinghe, but to protect Ji Xinghe and remind him. Ji Xinghe was stunned for a moment before he remembered and explained seriously. 20 years ago, the Federation restored the 8th level fitter grade examination. The prerequisite is that 3 conventional fitter jobs can reach the level of senior technicians to be eligible to take the exam. It happened that I had it, so I took the exam, and then I passed it. Don't say it's quite difficult. I almost didn't pass it. 20 years ago, I was still wearing open crotch pants. Shen Mu believed Ji Xinghe's persistence, but still took a deep breath and asked, "That's not right. I haven't heard of this exam, nor have I heard of anyone getting the 8th level fitter's certificate. It can't be open for you alone. It will be cancelled after you pass the exam. It's not a question, just curiosity," and to help Ji Xinghe fill the loophole. Ji Xinghe recalled it briefly. It seems that it was because there was an artificial intelligence program called Romeo Dog that operated the robotic arm and passed the exam. Compared with using an artificial intelligence program combined with a robotic arm, the cost of employing people is much higher. Moreover, those who can pass the 8th level fitter exam are very old. Among the 12 people, I was the youngest at the time, but I was also 45 years old. They said that we could pass the exam but could not do much work, so it was cancelled. There are 8 billion people in the Federation, and only 12 people can pass the exam? Even if many people will not take this kind of exam because of the mismatch between their majors, but... Shen Mu stared at Ji Xinghe blankly and asked seriously, "Old Ji, tell me the truth, do you have any plugins, such as a system or something? Or, are you a reincarnated immortal from another world? In fact, you have the cultivation of the golden core stage? No, the nascent soul? Or the legendary emperor?" Ji Xinghe shook his head. "I really don't have this." "Then how did you do it? Read more books, practice more, as long as you have a mentality of learning until you die, and are willing to take practical actions for it. When you are 65 years old, you will definitely have more certificates than me." Shen Mu was speechless, because Ji Xinghe was telling the truth. If he studied hard and took the exam, he would be able to get so many certificates before he was 65, or even more. But what's the point? Some professional certificates have no value to him, and the knowledge involved will never be used. And who is he? Shen Mu. A full scholarship winner of the most famous institution of higher learning in the Federation, he had already obtained a master's degree in mechanical engineering in his 20s. He was allowed to come to the alien base after studying at the Federal Mecha Research Institute for 1 year. He did not study for a doctorate not because he was not good enough, but because he wanted to make practical contributions as soon as possible. From the fact that he had just arrived at the alien base, he had a subsidy of more than 30,000 contribution points. He is a true genius. But who is Ji Xinghe? The retired master chef of the largest auto repair shop in Xinfeng City is just an auto mechanic. Other certificates are actually nothing, because many of Ji Xinghe's certificates are not of the highest level, but the meaning of the 8th level fitter is completely different. Shen Mu asked himself, he might not be able to pass the relevance exams before the age of 40, if the Federation still has relevance exams. "Old Ji, who are you?" Ji Xinghe did not answer Shen Mu's question, but looked at the lieutenant colonel. The lieutenant colonel noticed that Shen Mu's reckless words did not make Ji Xinghe angry, and the relationship between the two sides seemed very good, so the frown was loosened, but the expression was still indifferent. "Private Ji Xinghe, this is not your proof of authority. Please show me a valid proof of authority immediately." Proof of authority is proof of authority. Whether there is proof of authority or not, the artificial intelligence program can identify it at the first time. Ji Xinghe, who cannot come in without Shen Mu, does not have the so-called proof of authority. Otherwise, the lieutenant colonel officer would not receive the reminder from the artificial intelligence program, and then start to drive people away based on relevant regulations. "Sir," Ji Xinghe stood straight with his back and voice loud, "I saw it when I came here. We are recruiting a fitter. The recruitment instructions are very clear. If you have an 8th level fitter certificate, you can report directly without an interview and assessment." Compared with Shen Mu and Suhi, Ji Xinghe actually knows more about some common sense and regulations in base number 6 because he has to take good care of his granddaughter. When he decided to bring his granddaughter to the Mecha area, he had already checked the relevant regulations and foreseen the current situation, but he still came because he was confident that he and his granddaughter would not be driven out. The lieutenant colonel raised his hand, checked on his bracelet, and nodded, saying, "There is indeed a job demand. Private Ji Xinghe, please report to the number 109 operating area immediately. If the report is successful, you will be granted permission to enter this area at any time." "Okay, thank you, sir." Ji Xinghe and others breathed a sigh of relief and were about to go to the number 109 operating area, but the lieutenant colonel continued to block them with an expressionless face. Reporter Suhi, I remind you for the second time, please turn off your camera immediately, and then report the purpose of your visit truthfully. Suhi, who had not turned off the camera, suddenly became righteous at this time. Sir, I have the authority to follow Mr. Ji Xinghe, and I can go wherever he can go. This is my proof of authority. As he said, Suhi started to operate on the screen of his bracelet. After the lieutenant colonel verified it, he let him go without saying a word, and left without looking back. Shen Mu asked in confusion, isn't this guy curious at all? Doesn't he follow to see if Lao Ji is really an 8th level fitter? Suhi laughed and said, if Lao Ji is fake, then he should appear in front of us at the same time as he is judged to appear, at most 1 or 2 minutes late. After all, this place is quite large, and it takes time to walk over. Lieutenant Shen Mu, you have to get used to the fact that the people here don't talk nonsense and are unwilling to waste time, because everyone's time is precious. Shen Mu was stunned. Really? I also know a lot of soldiers in the research institute, they are not like this, right? And didn't a lot of people go to watch Lao Ji and Major Han Li fight just now? That's because the research institute is on the Blue Star, and that's because the soldiers you know are the same as you, who were specially recruited into the army because of their professional skills. Those who come to see me and Han Li have different responsibilities and therefore have different time. Ji Xinghe believed what Suhi said, looked around and said, didn't you notice that no one came here to watch us? Not only was there no one watching, but when they were stopped by the lieutenant colonel, the few who looked over just glanced and then retracted their gazes. Everyone was working seriously. Shen Mu continued to be stunned. After all, he was only in his 20s. Ji Xinghe squatted down and asked seriously, Zixin, shall we go and see the mecha? Yes, yes. So Ji Xinghe stood up again, and the group went to the number 109 operating area. They knew that an 8th level fitter was needed there, but what they didn't know was that the mecha area of base number 6 and all the operating areas of the mecha areas of other bases needed 8th level fitters, and even more than the mecha area. It's just that most people didn't know when they filled out the recruitment requirements that there were still living 8th level fitters in this world, and they came to the alien planet. His name is Ji Xinghe, and he has a certificate. Please recommend votes, monthly tickets, and collections. The data is so miserable. Thanks to U007, 1,500 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to Chixaxu, 100 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to Saizi 4,444, 2,100 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to Bookfriend 161,015,160,802,306, 200 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to Huagusheorengwa, 600 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to Shanso Hotpot, 1,500 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to Big White Bear, 500 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to Black Cat Sheriff, 1,500 starting coins, for the reward. Thanks to me for the reward of Shyandi 3, 100 starting coins. Thanks to all the bosses for the reward. Thanks to the bosses who voted for recommendations and monthly tickets. I love you. Chapter 33 This Old Horse. There are clear signs on the ground of the mecha area, so there is no need for navigation for Ji Xinghe and others to find the number 109 operation area. All the work areas here are divided into operation areas. According to the signs, there are a total of 150, scattered in an area of 50,000 square meters. After Ji Xinghe and others approached, someone questioned, what do you do? Unlike the official and harsh words of the lieutenant colonel officers, the words of these mechanics are much more lifelike. Hey, this man looks very old, what are you looking at? Work? Oh, only a young man stood up reluctantly to stop Ji Xinghe and others, and the others continued to be busy with their own things, and had no intention of caring about the situation here. In fact, they don't care about many things, such as the battle between Ji Xinghe and Han Li. No one in this mecha area has watched it, and it hasn't been long since it has spread, otherwise there will still be some people who come to watch Ji Xinghe out of curiosity. Hello, I saw you said you want a fitter. Ji Xinghe called up his 8th level fitter certificate and displayed it on the bracelet screen. I'm here to apply. Fitter? 8th level? Damn, master, there really is an 8th level fitter. The 109 operation area suddenly became quiet, and the other 7 people all turned their heads to look at the young man and Ji Xinghe. What did you say? 8th level fitter, master, he is an 8th level fitter. The young man's voice was so loud that people in several nearby operation areas turned their heads to look here, not because they cared about the excitement around them, but because there was a word in the voice that seemed to exist only in legends. Keep it down, keep it down. The middle-aged man called the master noticed those eyes, frowned and scolded, then approached Ji Xinghe and looked at the bracelet screen of Ji Xinghe. When he saw the certificate information on it, his pupils shrank involuntarily. Ji Xinghe. The master read out the name on the certificate, then looked up at Ji Xinghe and asked hesitantly, "Do you still remember Liu Daoxing?" Ji Xinghe frowned and thought about the recollection, then asked, "Are you talking about the Liu Daoxing from Longzhou Machinery Company?" "Yes, that's him." "Do you know what he looks like? Or what are his characteristics?" "There is a mole on his left cheek, and 2 white hairs grow on the mole. When he was taking the exam, he almost got angry and the 2 white hairs fell off. He was about 60 years old at the time. Because the examination agency allowed artificial intelligence such as Romeo Dog to use a robotic arm to participate in the competition, he had a quarrel with the examination agency and was almost disqualified from the examination." "It's really you really are an 8th level fitter." The middle-aged man who was called the master suddenly became excited. "I am the grandson of Liu Daoxing. My grandfather talked about you. He said that you were the youngest and most promising of the 12 people who got the 8th level fitter certificate at that time. At that time, he wanted you to go to Longzhou Machinery Company, but you insisted on going back to repair cars. He was angry about this for many years." Ji Xinghe then knew why. When the number 109 operating area was recruiting fitters, it wrote that the 8th level fitters did not need interviews and assessments. It turned out that they knew that the Federation still had 8th level fitters. "It's not that I won't go, but it's meaningless." Longzhou Machinery Company also bought the artificial intelligence program at that time. I remember someone said at the time that the assessment was to endorse the artificial intelligence program, and we were all just running for the job. My grandfather said the same thing. Later, my grandfather resigned because there was no use for fitters like him with the artificial intelligence program. "Yes, there are artificial intelligence programs and robotic arms. Why do you still recruit 8th level fitters?" Ji Xinghe was indeed very curious about this question. He didn't take his certificates seriously before. Even Tu Yuan, who knew that he had those certificates, thought that he could only repair relatively simple machines such as cars after coming to the alien planet. In addition to the fact that the mecha itself is a self-contained system, it is also because the Federation has artificial intelligence programs and robotic arms. The artificial intelligence program has played an indispensable role in being able to build multiple bases with a construction area of more than 800,000 square meters, or even more than 1 million square meters on the alien planet in such a short time. Shen Mu also looked at Master Liu with curiosity. His grandfather's surname was Liu, so he should also be surnamed Liu. Master Liu's surname was indeed Liu, and his excitement had calmed down. Because of resources, the artificial intelligence program needs to be programmed before it can use the mechanical arm and other equipment to create the parts we need. Although we have the parts creation program for all mechas, our resources are limited. We can't just replace what is broken, and can't replace what can be repaired. In this regard, the artificial intelligence program is not good. The artificial intelligence of the Federation can only be regarded as weak artificial intelligence, which means that it cannot create intelligent programs and machines that can truly reason and solve problems. These programs and machines only look like they are intelligent, but they don't have real intelligence, nor do they have autonomous consciousness. They are just tools for humans, and tools need to have the will of the user to be able to exert their abilities. From a certain perspective, this may be a good thing, but when it cannot autonomously repair mechas with different ways and degrees of damage, it is a bad thing. There are also modifications, customized modifications for mecha warriors, modifications that suit their driving and combat habits. Master Liu added, these are things that artificial intelligence programs cannot accomplish, because they cannot think independently, and the computing resources of artificial intelligence are also limited, and the manufacturing resources allocated to us are also limited. Sometimes we really don't have time and we need to make some parts by hand. Ji Xinghe understood, and Shen Mu also understood. Shen Mu asked curiously, then why not just let the Federation expand the recruitment of 8th level fitters? When I was in school and research institute, I never heard of any demand in this regard, because the exam for 8th level fitters is too difficult. It's more difficult than the exam for senior technicians. Those who can pass the exam must be senior technicians. So there is no need to set up a separate exam in this regard. We just need to recruit senior technicians. The Federation has been recruiting, but there are too few people and not enough, Shen Mu understood. He fell into a misconception. In fact, it was not that the alien planet was in short supply of 8th level fitters. It was just because Master Liu knew that there was an exam 20 years ago and someone had obtained the qualification certificate for 8th level fitters, so he just filled in that sentence when recruiting fitters. From the comparison of occupational levels, the 8th level fitter is equivalent to the senior technician of fitter to some extent. Both are the highest occupational levels of fitter, but they are called differently. In the past, fitters and many types of work were in the 8th level system, with the 8th level being the highest. Later, fitters were in the 5th level system, with the senior technician being the highest. Alien Star has always been short of senior technicians, but there are far more people of this level than just Ji Xinghe. Shen Mu and Master Liu also have them. Among the more than 1,000 mechanics in this mecha area, a quarter of them have the senior technician qualification certificate for fitters. The rest are not incompetent, but their professions are not suitable. Repairing mechas does not only require fitters. Energy supply systems, intelligent operating systems, weapon systems, etc. all require professionals from various professions. That's great, Lao Ji, you don't have to repair cars. Just stay here and start repairing mechas. You can earn more by repairing mechas than cars. Shen Mu knew that Ji Xinghe was short of money, so he took the initiative to help Ji Xinghe and asked, Master Liu, how many contribution points can you give Lao Ji a month? Repair cars. Master Liu did not answer Shen Mu's question, but looked at Ji Xinghe in surprise as if he had thought of something. Mr. Ji, you haven't been repairing cars since then and have never touched a mecha, right? Ji Xinghe thought about it and realized that he had indeed never touched a real mecha, so he nodded. Yes, I have never touched a mecha. You didn't study mecha before you came here. No, that's not right. With your technical level, you must be asked to repair mechas here, so there must be relevant training. What you are talking about is the normal enlistment based on professional expertise. I wanted to come 10 years ago, but because I was 55 years old at the time, they didn't let me sign up. Master Liu was shocked. Only then did he remember that Ji Xinghe and his grandfather seemed to be of the same generation. Mr. Ji, how old are you this year? Not high. 65. It is indeed not high. Much younger than Master Liu's grandfather, 15 years younger, but a disappointed expression still appeared on Master Liu's face. What's the use of an 8th level fitter who has never touched a mecha? It can indeed be trained. After all, there is a saying that one master can master 100 masters, and different paths lead to the same destination. But 65 is already the retirement age. What's the point of training? Shen Mu also thought of this, with a face full of regret. It would be better if Lao Ji was younger. As for the old man Li who only talks about war on paper, he is the professional who raises the most questions and criticisms. How can he take it seriously? In his plan, the old man Li he is going to help Ji Xinghe build will change many designs that Ji Xinghe is unwilling to change. On the other hand, Su He's expression now is only shocked and not regretful, because his mind is still thinking about what Ji Xinghe said just now. 10 years ago, the 55-year-old Ji Xinghe wanted to enlist in the army with his professional expertise. 10 years ago, it was the time when Ji Xinghe's son Ji Xinghe landed on the alien planet. This old Ji looked at the disappointed Master Liu and suddenly became nervous and unconfident. Is it true that he can't be an 8th level fitter at his age? How about letting me try? His voice was a little pleading because his granddaughter was beside him. Chapter 34 Old Canon. Try. Master Liu frowned. Mr. Ji, mechas are not cars. You can give it a try whether it is repaired or not. This is related to the lives of the frontline soldiers, and not only the lives of mecha soldiers. You have never been in contact with mechas before, so I can't let you try. The battle on the alien front is not entirely a battle between the Federation and the Empire's mecha troops. Although the various high-tech weapons of the Federation cannot be used normally on the alien planet for various reasons, ordinary soldiers need to wear spacesuits weighing up to 60 kilograms on the surface, and the spacesuits are very bloated, but they can still cooperate with the mecha soldiers to fight. In short, it is the 4 words overcome difficulties, but these 4 words are not simple at all. It is easy to say but difficult to do. The difficulties they need to overcome often require their lives to be used as a bet. It is precisely because of their courage to sacrifice that people like Master Liu care more about their lives. Shen Mu was anxious on the side, and when he was about to explain, He was stopped by Ji Xinghe. He couldn't always let others stand in front of him, and couldn't always let others help him. He needed to stand up and solve the problem himself. Only in this way could he live up to his promise to his granddaughter. He wanted to be a good mechanic, he wanted to build a good mecha, and he wanted to be a good mecha warrior. Only in this way can his granddaughter become a doctor who can cure diseases and save lives while becoming a mecha warrior. Although he didn't want his granddaughter to become a mecha warrior, he only hoped that his granddaughter could grow up safely and become a doctor, or a lawyer. But just as he didn't use his father's identity to prevent his son Ji Xinghe from taking the military academy and joining the army, but did his best to help Ji Xinghe realize his dream, he raised his son and granddaughter instead of a puppet. I don't want you to realize your dream, but I swear to defend your right to choose your dream, work hard for it, and even sacrifice your life. I really haven't come into contact with mechas before. I'm talking about real mechas. You know, the Federation doesn't have many mechas. Almost all the mechas that can be built have been transported to alien planets. But in a sense, I know mechas very well, better than I know cars, even though I have been repairing cars for more than 40 years. Ji Xinghe's tone was very calm, and the pleading meaning in it had disappeared, because he didn't need to plead for anything now, he just needed to argue with reason. Reason is the reason of reason, and it is also the reason of truth, and the truth is only within the range of the canon. He wants to tell Master Liu that although his canon is very old, its range is actually very, very far. Old canon? The word flashed through Master Liu's mind. He felt that Ji Xinghe was even more unbearable. He was already 65 years old, and still didn't know what he could do, and what he couldn't do. There was no need to train him to become a professional mecha mechanic. When he was about to refuse verbally, he heard Ji Xinghe's firm voice. What parts do you need, whether it is to build or repair, tell me. I will pay for the materials I need, you lend me some tools, and tell me a time. If I can't complete it, I will leave honestly. If I can complete it, please hire me. As he spoke, Ji Xinghe showed his deposit balance. The 50,000 contribution points given by Han Li, plus the 10,000 contribution points left by Ms. Rong, now there are 57,000 left. This money is enough for him to make compensation after damaging the relevant parts. However, after seeing the money, Master Liu shook his head and refused. G, I believe you can build or repair 1 or 2, or even more parts according to the requirements, but you are already 65 years old. Even if you have a heart that loves to learn, we don't have time to teach you this knowledge. With the time we teach you about mecha, we can complete your workload ourselves. Look at them, they are all great guys, and neither I nor they have time to waste. Master Liu paused slightly after saying this. He finally noticed the little girl next to Ji Xinghe. Seeing Ji Xinghe holding the little girl's hand and the age difference between the two, he almost instantly confirmed the relationship between the two. Respecting the elderly and loving the young are the traditional virtues of Longzhou. Master Liu is also from Longzhou, so he sighed and said, if you can study some mecha-related knowledge on the Blue Star, then I can really let you have a try. Even if you are very old and your hands are not as stable as when you were young, you can still spend some time to build or repair the parts we need. It is better to have them than not. But now, why don't you go back and study and come back? Online classes won't work. You must learn while practicing. Alien planets don't have these conditions and resources, but the Blue Star does. Ji Xinghe felt Master Liu's impatience, because Master Liu valued time very much. The time they spent saying these words was enough for Master Liu to complete a certain amount of work progress. And these work progress represented the life safety of those soldiers on the real front line, so he had to speed up the progress. First, although I am 65 years old, my hands are not shaking. Ji Xinghe's voice is firm and full of confidence. Even if he is not confident in his heart, he must show enough confidence now, otherwise time will be wasted in nonsense. Master Liu will drive him away after his patience is worn out, and the lieutenant colonel officer may appear again at any time. Second, your grandfather was able to become an 8th level fitter because his strength was at the level of an 8th level fitter. And Ji Xinghe was a little embarrassed, so he paused with hesitation, but after all, he was the old gun who chose to use any means to manipulate public opinion in order to successfully take the exam and pass the conscription review after passing the exam. And the reason why I became an 8th level fitter is because the highest level of fitter is only 8. The number 109 operating area was quiet in an instant. Everyone looked at Ji Xinghe in amazement, and recalled Ji Xinghe's resounding words in their ears. Old man, Do your family members know that you are so arrogant? If there is a level 9 exam for fitters, I must be one of the people who can pass it in the entire Federation." Ji Xinghe's voice was loud. He wanted to attract the attention of those in the operating area next to him. If Master Liu didn't give him a chance to try, he hoped that others would be willing to give him this opportunity. He must have this opportunity, so he chose to brag and take advantage of his seniority. The route planned by Han Li for him and the help he provided to him were to let him take an apprentice in Alien Star No. 6 base as a peerless master and earn contribution points by teaching others Kung Fu. But he was unwilling to teach others Kung Fu, not because he cherished it, but because Kung Fu requires decades of hard study and practice, and it cannot be taught in 3 to 5 months. Comrade Xiao Liu, your grandfather couldn't pass the 9th level exam, and you can't pass the 9th level exam, but I can. So I'm not asking you to give me a chance now, but I choose to give you a chance for your grandfather's sake." Ji Xinghe let go of Xinghe's hand and took a step forward. His 1.91 meter tall body walked out like a dragon and a tiger in the step, looking down at Master Liu, who was only 1.7 meters tall, with a full sense of oppression. "Do you want it or not?" Master Liu subconsciously took 2 or 3 steps back, because he felt that if he said no, the old man would definitely beat him. Although he was not afraid of a 65-year-old man, not knowing that Ji Xinghe was a peerless master, he was afraid that the old man would touch porcelain. "Okay, I'll let you try," Master Liu said with a stiff face. "You said it yourself, you paid for the materials yourself." Ji Xinghe laughed, looking at Master Liu with an apologetic look in his eyes, and after holding Xinghe's hand again, he looked at Shen Mu. "Second Lieutenant Shen Mu, go check out their demand list and find one for me." "Old Ji, you have made it up. You, a private-level mechanic, actually command me, as second lieutenant mechanic. Is there any hierarchy?" While complaining in his mind, Shen Mu seemed to walk into the 109th operation area without any hesitation. He probably knew what Ji Xinghe was good at, so he wanted to choose the most suitable parts for Ji Xinghe. If Ji Xinghe's hands really don't shake, then he will definitely be able to build it successfully. The people in the 109th operation area did not stop Shen Mu, because the badge on Shen Mu's chest showed that he was a mechanic, and the shoulder straps showed his military rank, so they let Shen Mu flip back and forth on the demand list. The demand list is reported to the base system and sorted according to the estimated completion time fed back by the system. Basically, the lower the ranking, the higher the difficulty. Shen Mu is not going to flip too many pages, just have that intention. But what Ji Xinghe wants is not that others think he is good, but that he is very good. Pull down, keep pulling down. Shen Mu was shocked. Again? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 I Fixed It. Stop. Ji Xinghe held Xinghe's hand and stood behind Shen Mu. When Shen Mu's finger was about to turn up again, he said, "This is it." Shen Mu's finger stopped at the third to last item in the list of requirements for Operation Interval number 109, a maintenance project requirement. The system estimates that the completion time is 864 hours. The hour here is the time unit of Azure Star. The sunrise and sunset on the alien planet are completely different from those on Azure Star. A day is not 24 hours, but it doesn't really matter, because everyone basically lives in an underground base and rarely sees the sun. Although this time is not the time for the base's artificial intelligence program to combine robotic arms, machine tools and other advanced technological creations to repair the required parts, it is only because the relevant resources are allocated according to priority. 864 hours are almost all waiting time in line. But it can also be seen that the maintenance of this part is very difficult. "Lao Ji, can you do it?" Shen Mu glanced at Master Liu next to him and asked in a low voice. "This is beyond the level of an 8th level fitter. Even if your hands don't shake, you may not be able to complete it." Ji Xinghe noticed that Master Liu pricked up his ears, and suddenly regretted pretending just now, but he had to pretend even if he had to kneel down. "I said, the reason why I am an 8th level fitter is because the highest level of fitter is only 8th. Ji Xinghe actually has a way to retreat now. The advantage of being old is that if he admits defeat now and goes to repair cars, no one will really bother him. But he has to leave himself no way to retreat, because life is like this. If you take a step back, you will completely lose the possibility of taking another step forward. When you are young, there may be new opportunities, but Ji Xinghe is really not young anymore. It is natural for others to call him Lao Ji. Okay, just be stubborn, Shen Mu complained a little, but he still explained some key knowledge points to Ji Xinghe as soon as possible. As a second lieutenant level expert mechanic, he knew all the standard mechas of the Federation and all the parts in them. This is why Ji Xinghe asked Shen Mu to help choose. Ji Xinghe listened and his eyes became brighter, because he found that what Shen Mu said was exactly the same as the information he could see. And because of the confidentiality level, Shen Mu also told him all the information that could not be seen. It can be done. Come, bring me this broken part. After listening, Ji Xinghe looked at Master Liu. If I can't fix it, I will buy you a new one immediately. If you don't believe it, I can transfer the contribution points to you now. Master Liu, who felt that he was almost scammed just now, didn't dare to ask Ji Xinghe for a deposit. He hurriedly nodded and agreed and expressed his willingness to provide all the tools. Anyway, the tools needed by the fitter are not rare and he has spare ones here. Repair it. We won't take your contribution points if it breaks. We don't have time to repair it anyway. The waiting time now is more than 800 hours. In a few days, it may still be more than 800 hours. If we prioritize, there will be queue jumpers. Our original plan was to wait. If we can't wait, we will just replace the parts instead of repairing it. Master Liu looked at Ji Xinghe, who was of the same generation as his grandfather, and suddenly sighed. Ji, I really don't mean to make things difficult for you. I really need 8th level fitters. We need them in all the operating areas here, and the situation is the same in other bases. But your age, we dare not gamble, because if we lose, people will die. Ji Xinghe was relieved when he saw someone going to the warehouse area to get the damaged mecha parts. Master Liu, I'm sorry I was too excited just now. I can understand you. I'm sorry, but I really need this opportunity. I won't let you down. The most important person among you is not Master Liu, Shen Mu, or Suhi, but Ji Xinghe's granddaughter. While waiting for others to prepare, he squatted down and started talking to Xinghe, because he would be working seriously soon and had no time to look after Xinghe. Shen Mu and Suhi stepped aside tactfully. Shen Mu, who originally wanted to emphasize some more key points, was actually pulled away by Suhi. The two stood outside the line of the number 109 operation zone. Suhi asked in a low voice with some curiosity, is an 8th level fitter very powerful? How do we judge whether Lao Ji is capable? Do we look at the processing accuracy? Millimeters, nanometers or something like that? Shen Mu looked at Suhi in surprise. You don't know this? I'm not sure, I just know that processing accuracy is very important. It refers to the degree of conformity between the 3 geometric parameters of the actual size, shape, and position of the surface of the part after processing, and the ideal geometric parameters required by the drawing. The smaller the number, the better. Yes, this is indeed processing accuracy. Nanometers are the limit of our human technology. Then Lao Ji is an 8th level fitter. Can he reach the nanometer level? Shen Mu, who originally didn't want to explain this question, noticed that Suhi's camera was on. Thinking that he would inevitably appear in Ji Xinghe's documentary in the future, he answered seriously, no, let alone Lao Ji is an 8th level fitter. Even if he is a 9th level fitter or a 10th level fitter as he said, it won't work. Because the limit of human processing accuracy is only 3 decimal places after the unit of millimeter. In other words, the processing accuracy can only reach 0.001 millimeters at most. Suhi was stunned, but 1 millimeter is equal to 1 million nanometers, and 1 nanometer is 0.000001 millimeters. The difference between 2 zeros and 5 zeros is too big, right? Shen Mu took a deep breath, calmed down the complex emotions facing the low-end questions of laymen, and continued to explain seriously, not only is the gap between 2 zeros and 5 zeros large, the gap between 0.009 and 0.001 is also very large. Let me put it this way, I can achieve a manual accuracy of 0.009 millimeters, but I dare not guarantee that I can achieve a manual accuracy of 0.001 millimeters. I'm not talking about one time, but my whole life. What's wrong with me? Shen Mu held his head high. I am Shen Mu, the youngest second lieutenant mechanic in the Federation. I just came to the alien planet and got a subsidy of 30,000 contribution points without any contribution. Do you know why? Why? Because the maximum subsidy for special talents is only 30,000, and wait, let's edit this part out and start over. Shen Mu coughed twice and then said seriously, some people can get a subsidy of 30,000 contribution points because they are only worth 30,000, and I can get a subsidy of 30,000 contribution points because the Federation's maximum subsidy for special talents is only 30,000. Suhi reminded helplessly, everyone who can come to the alien front is a hero. Don't you think it's worth it? Isn't it a bit inappropriate? Inappropriate? Then edit this part out and I'll start over. Don't talk about this. You can't learn from an old horse. An old horse can rely on his seniority, but can you? Sui corrected the topic and asked, since those robotic arms, machine tools, lithography machines and so on can achieve nanometer-level processing accuracy, what is the point of manual processing accuracy of only millimeter-level for fitters? In addition to the reasons Master Liu just mentioned, do you have anything to add, Lieutenant Shen Mu? Or, summarize it. Shen Mu frowned and thought. After a long while, he looked at the camera seriously and spoke. Everything that exists is reasonable. It takes 3 years to become a fine lathe operator, and 10 years to become a lousy fitter. The existence of fitters must be reasonable and there is a necessary demand for it. What Master Liu said is the meaning of the existence of fitters. And when it comes to Lao Ji, an 8th level fitter, he can even be called the god of craftsmen. Yes, in terms of processing accuracy, Lao Ji cannot be compared with nano-level machine tools and robotic arms, but processing accuracy is only one of the judgment criteria. It is important but not all. Because in front of the machine there are only 0 and 1, and what we need is not only 0 and 1, but also the judgment of an 8th level fitter that goes beyond 0 and 1. Suhi didn't expect Shen Mu to say this. Although there are some flaws, it is already very good, so he asked, what else? Shen Mu racked his brains and sweated on his forehead before he uttered another sentence. An 8th level fitter can make nano-level machine tools and robotic arms, but nano-level machine tools and robotic arms cannot make an 8th level fitter. When Suhi gave a thumbs up, the damaged metal parts had been taken. Ji Xinghe stood up beside Xingchen and began to put on the work clothes that were taken at the same time, while Xingchen trotted to Shen Mu and Suhi, stood outside the operating area, turned around and raised her fist to Ji Xinghe. Grandpa, come on. After this, the number 109 operating area entered the working state again. No one went to see Ji Xinghe's repair work. Master Liu and others had wasted a lot of time. Time passed little by little, but Ji Xinghe seemed to have made no progress. It was almost time for everyone to get off work. The lieutenant colonel officer had also appeared nearby. Shen Mu raised his foot anxiously. He wanted to enter the operating area again and instruct Ji Xinghe. But just as he took a step, the hem of his shirt was pulled hard by a small hand. He turned his head and saw Xingchen with a serious expression on her face, looking at him with a firm look, and shaking her little head from side to side with a large amplitude, as if using this behavior to express her attitude. Uncle, my grandpa said that you can't help him all the time. You have your own work, responsibilities and obligations, and my grandpa has them too. Shen Mu was stunned. It had been a long time since Xin left Ji Xinghe, but she still remembered Ji Xinghe's instructions and executed them perfectly. This kid has something. Is she a genius? At this moment, Ji Xinghe's calm voice suddenly sounded in the no. 109 operating area. I fixed it. Master Liu, please check it. You can wait a while, I'm not in a hurry. Master Liu and others hadn't reacted yet, looking at Ji Xinghe in astonishment, but Shen Mu was anxious. Old Ji, you are such a fool. The child hasn't eaten yet. How can the child not be anxious if you are not anxious? Hurry up, Master Liu, can you please spare some time? If you really don't have time, I can do it. I can test it. Haven't you eaten? Ji Xinghe's expression suddenly became surprised, and then his face was full of annoyance and panic. I'm sorry, Xingchen, Grandpa forgets the time when he works. Come on, Grandpa will take you to eat. Xingchen, I'm not hungry. Grandpa has worked hard. When Xingchen spoke, Ji Xinghe had already stepped out of the operating area quickly, took her hand, and then walked out slowly with her. Everyone else was stunned. Suhi's task was to follow Ji Xinghe, but he felt that the inspection of that component was also very important and wanted to stay to shoot, so he was hesitant. Shen Mu shouted directly, Old Ji, wait a minute, this is very urgent. You were about to hit someone just now, why are you leaving now? Ji Xinghe didn't even turn his head, and didn't care about Shen Yu's unintentional slander. He held Xingxin's hand with his right hand, raised his left hand and swung it behind him twice. "I have fixed it," he said he had fixed it, and left with his granddaughter without looking back, not only because he was very confident, but also because he felt that it was more important for his granddaughter to eat on time, and eating on time would have a good body. He took the kitchen knife at home to steal a single soldier starship and came to an alien planet to die. After finally arriving on the alien planet, he hid in an underground base. Wasn't it for his granddaughter to keep healthy? "Granddaughter, you have to grow up quickly and grow up healthily, because Grandpa doesn't have much time to avenge your father." Chapter 36: The Cripple and the Old Man. The cafeteria at base number 6 suddenly became lively because an old man came in with a little girl. When the two of them were queuing up for food, they attracted the attention of hundreds of people and sparked a lot of whispered discussions. It's him, that's it, who is it, a peerless master, what peerless master, oh, I forgot you were at work and didn't go to see it. Let me tell you, didn't a spaceship arrive today? It's from the blue planet. There are about 1,000 people, and they want to compete as soon as they get off the spaceship. Competition, yes, it's this old man, no, it's this peerless master. Did you secretly buy some wine to drink? Let me smell your mouth, get lost, I'm not kidding. Don't look at this old man's age. Look at his height and his skeleton. He's simply a human weapon. You mean, this old man is good at fighting? He's still good at fighting at this age? That's not what I mean, it's the truth. Do you know who this old man's opponent is? Who? Han Li. Han Li? This name sounds familiar. Major Han Li, a super mecha warrior with 73 gold stars on his exclusive mecha. I remember, isn't he a captain? He was promoted for his last battle merit, right? That's not important. What's important is that Major Han Li is a good fighter, but this old gentleman defeated Major Han Li. Fuck, this old gentleman can still wear armor at such an old age. How many gold stars are there on his mecha? He doesn't have a mecha. He's not a mecha warrior. They fought after taking off their armor. Fuck, is this true? I know Han Li because he once lost to Colonel Li Yuanba, and I heard that the loss was not ugly. Now you tell me that this old gentleman defeated Major Han Li. Yes, I tell you, this time Major Han Li lost ugly. At that time, because of the large number of people and because of word of mouth, people's whispered discussions made the originally quiet cafeteria finally look a bit like the Blue Star cafeteria, but these voices did not affect Ji Xinghe. He was just a little worried about his granddaughter because of all the attention. "Xingxin, do you want to eat in the cafeteria or go back to your room to eat?" Xingxin wants to eat in the cafeteria because there are so many people in the cafeteria. "Okay, let's eat in the cafeteria." The grandfather and grandson each carried a plate, found an empty seat and sat down to eat. Originally, Ji Xinghe wanted to help Xingxin carry the plate, but Xingxin insisted on carrying it herself. The location was also easy to find. Although the permanent population of base number 6 is about 30,000, and the area of the cafeteria does not look large, everyone's mealtime is not concentrated. Each of the 3 meals in the morning, noon and evening has 2 hours. Normally, people who come to eat will eat after they get the food and leave after eating. They will not stay in the cafeteria for more time, and they eat very quickly. Dinner is very rich. The staple food is rice and steamed buns, and the dishes are 1 meat and 2 vegetables. This is really rich on the alien planet, even if there are only 3 slices of meat in the meat dish. "I don't want it, Grandpa eats it," Xingxin said, picking up the meat slices that Ji Xinghe had put on her plate and putting them back on Ji Xinghe's plate. The 6-year-old child was surprisingly skilled in using chopsticks. "Xingxin, don't think it's dirty. Grandpa's chopsticks haven't been used yet." Xingxin doesn't dislike Grandpa. "Mom said that you can only grow up by eating meat, and Grandpa also wants to eat meat. Grandpa can't grow up anymore." Ji Xinghe sighed in his heart and explained seriously, "Grandpa has grown up and doesn't need to grow up anymore. Xingxin has to grow up." And Grandpa ate a lot of meat on the Azure Star. Azure Star? Xingxin's eyes were filled with unprecedented longing, which made Ji Xinghe feel distressed. He regretted that he accidentally mentioned the Azure Star just now. He wanted to tell Xingxin everything about the Azure Star, but he didn't know if this would make Xingxin sad. Fortunately, someone came to the rescue in time. "Excuse me, Mr. Ji, can I sit here and chat with you for a few minutes?" Ji Xinghe wanted to refuse because he didn't want anyone to disturb his granddaughter's meal, but when he saw the person clearly, he nodded and agreed. "Of course, Thank you. The person was very polite, but when he sat down, it was not as easy as he said, because he only had one leg and the other leg was a mechanical prosthesis. From his cautious sitting action, he was not used to the mechanical prosthesis, but after sitting down, his waist and back were very straight, and his correct posture showed that he was a soldier. The badge on his chest showed that his military branch was a mecha warrior, and the rank on the shoulder strap was second lieutenant. Mr. G. I have a straightforward personality and I always say what I want to say. The second lieutenant mecha warrior looked at Ji Xinghe with burning eyes. I want to know, can I still fight in this state? Ji Xinghe did not answer, but asked directly, why are you asking me? Because you are a peerless master. Major Han Li said you are a peerless master, and you also defeated Major Han Li, but we fought after taking off our armor. You don't know that we fought once with armor on before, and I was killed instantly by him. You are a mecha warrior, you should fight with armor on, you should ask more professional people, but they don't let me wear armor. The second lieutenant mecha warrior's tone was calm, but his eyes turned red in an instant. They said I lost a leg and I am not as good as a normal person. I can't wear armor anymore, but I still want to wear armor, I still want to fight. Mr. G, you are a peerless master, can you tell me, can I really not fight if I lose a leg? Ji Xinghe was silent. He didn't know how to answer this question because it was beyond his knowledge level. He had never driven a real mecha or used the mechanical prosthesis. But the eyes of the second lieutenant in front of him were full of pleading, just like the eyes of Ji Xinghe when he said he wanted to apply for the military academy and join the army to come to the alien planet. Combat, mechanical prostheses, mechas, maybe they are not beyond my knowledge level? Ji Xinghe said calmly, stand up. The second lieutenant stood up with his hands on the dining table, then stepped out of the chair, and then carefully pulled out his mechanical prosthesis, standing next to Ji Xinghe like a javelin. Ji Xinghe also stood up. Stretch your arms and relax your body. The second lieutenant followed his words and was as obedient as a little girl. Xinghe was very obedient partly because she thought that no one would want her except Ji Xinghe. And the second lieutenant was obedient because he had no one else to help him except Ji Xinghe. When everyone in the base said that he could no longer wear armor, he could only pin his hopes on the peerless master Ji Xinghe. Even though the two sides met for the first time, he even forgot to introduce his name because he was too excited, but this was his only hope. The people around looked over curiously, and they saw Ji Xinghe reaching out and groping the second lieutenant's body. What was he doing? As soon as Shen Mu entered the cafeteria, he saw Ji Xinghe touching the second lieutenant and immediately became furious. Old Ji, you said you can't touch bones. Chapter 37. His legs are important. The angry Shen Mu was not angry, but very excited. He was very excited when he ran into the cafeteria, because the test over there had been completed, and Ji Xinghe had really repaired the damaged parts, so he ran all the way to tell Ji Xinghe the good news, and so he was left behind. After running into the cafeteria and seeing clearly what Ji Xinghe was doing, Shen Mu was even more excited. When he was about to shout and yell, his steps suddenly stopped, and he stood there like a fool, because he saw that the second lieutenant officer who was being touched by Ji Xinghe and might have snatched his opportunity to become Ji Xinghe's second apprentice was a cripple. It is basically impossible for a cripple to come to an alien planet, let alone become a mecha warrior. The brand new mechanical prosthesis was spotless, enough to show that it was newly installed, enough to show that the mecha warrior was not originally a cripple. He was originally a mecha warrior with intact limbs, strong physical fitness, and extremely high combat literacy, but because he lost a leg in a battle, the newly installed mechanical prosthesis could not allow him to adapt quickly, so now he looks a little lame. Shen Mu stood there motionless. He had seen some soldiers who retired due to injuries before, but he had seen almost all of them on TV. In the Federal Mecha Research Institute where he had studied for a year, there were also some mecha warriors who retired due to injuries and cooperated with them in research. But how could the mecha warriors who could cooperate with their research be injured to such an extent? If one finger was missing, he could no longer drive the mecha to fight, let alone if he lost a leg. So why did this mecha warrior let Lao Ji touch his bones for him? He was not at the scene just now, but he had already made up the facts in his mind. So he, who came a step late, reacted faster than Shen Mu. After a slight pause, he approached with his drone, and his movements were cautious. He was not worried that he would be discovered by others for secretly filming. He had the right to film, and the person being filmed could edit and code if he did not want to appear on camera. He was just worried that he would disturb Ji Xinghe's bone-touching and destroy the dream of a person who was bravely injured because of fighting in armor and was judged to be unable to wear armor again and wanted to fight in armor again. "Sit down and give me this leg." Ji Xinghe stopped his action and spoke again. The second lieutenant continued to do as he was told. His red eyes had returned to normal, but the desire in his eyes had not disappeared. He sat down carefully and then lifted up the mechanical leg. The mechanical leg was not wrapped in clothes and was always exposed. No one in the base would laugh at his mechanical leg, so there was no need to hide it, but at the same time, everyone would refuse him to fight in armor again. Ji Xinghe was not his only hope, nor was he the one who could decide whether he could fight in armor, but Ji Xinghe was his hope now. It was not the hope of fighting in armor, but the hope of living. Ji Xinghe could understand the second lieutenant's thoughts, so he lifted the mechanical leg with his hands, which he regarded as a treasure, and placed it on his leg. "Xinghe, eat." After reminding Xinghe who wanted to come over to see, Ji Xinghe began to explore again. His calloused hands rubbed against the brand new machinery, and an inexplicable sense of familiarity came to his heart. Mechanical prostheses are also mechanical, and he is best at mechanical. Weight is very important, not the weight of this mechanical leg, but the weight of each part of this mechanical leg, and even the weight of each component. In terms of appearance and function, this mechanical leg represents the crystallization of federal technology. Ji Xinghe has no say in this regard, but after he touched the bones, he had a say in weight. The best is not necessarily the most suitable, and the most suitable must be the best. Wait a moment. Carefully putting down the mechanical leg, Ji Xinghe opened the screen of his bracelet and searched it. He did not have the ability to remember everything he saw. Before coming to the alien planet, many relevant materials would not be open to him as a car repairman. It is natural to check the information. However, authority is a big problem. After all, he is just an ordinary mechanic. His real duty on the alien planet is to repair cars and shoot documentaries. No one will give him all the authority. He couldn't even enter the mecha maintenance area before. Looking up, he saw Shen Mu. "Second Lieutenant Shen Mu, can you do me a favor?" "Oh, okay." Shen Mu walked quickly forward and turned on the screen of his bracelet, then squatted beside Ji Xinghe who was sitting and stretched out his hand to display the screen in front of Ji Xinghe. "Sit down, don't be in a hurry, it's okay, Lao Ji, you check it, okay?" Ji Xinghe checked Shen Mu's bracelet and asked Shen Mu a few small questions. Shen Mu was able to answer them one by one. Then referring to the higher level information he had found, Ji Xinghe had a good idea in his mind. "Okay, thank you, you're welcome, Lao Ji, you will also, you should do your business first." Shen Mu was ultimately unable to ask Ji Xinghe to touch his bones, because business was urgent, because things had priorities, just like his behavior just now was a violation of regulations. Using his own authority to obtain relevant information to show Ji Xinghe who had no authority, this was something that could be held accountable, but he didn't mind at all. Ji Xinghe looked at the second lieutenant officer with a serious expression and a calm tone. "I know you want to fight in armor, but I'm sorry, I have never driven a real mecha, so I can't give you any advice on this matter. But if you ask me if you can defeat a normal person when you take off your armor after losing a leg, I can tell you responsibly that not only can you defeat a normal person, you can even defeat Major Han Li." "I'm sorry, Major Han Li, you said you don't care about fame, so I'm really sorry." The second lieutenant's eyes changed from expectation to disappointment, and then to surprise and shock. He finally couldn't help but exclaimed, "Major Han Li? You mean, I can defeat Major Han Li?" Major Han Li, a special mecha warrior with 73 gold stars on his mecha. "Yes, but there are 4 prerequisites." Ji Xinghe nodded. "First, your mechanical leg needs to be modified to make it more suitable for you, more like the leg you originally had, and retain the powerful characteristics of the machine. Second, Major Han Li's strength has not improved during this period of time. Third, I will teach you how to fight, or in other words, teach you how to use your leg. Fourth, you can't wear armor and fight without armor. 2 and 4 don't need to be said, it's just that Ji Xinghe is more rigorous. The second lieutenant only cares about 1 and 3. There is no need to say more about the third point. Since Mr. Ji said so, he must be willing to help himself, but the first prerequisite. The relevant resources of the base have always been very tight. Being able to give himself a mechanical leg instead of sending himself back to the Blue Star to retire is already the reason for his outstanding military exploits before. How dare he ask for more? Thank you, When the second lieutenant officer looked bitter, Ji Xinghe and Shen Mu also understood the second lieutenant officer's worries. They had just left the number 109 operation area not long ago and witnessed a tension of related resources. It's okay, I'll help you, Ji Xinghe said seriously. I will not only teach you how to use this leg, I will also help you transform this leg. You help me. The second lieutenant officer was stunned for a moment. He was about to say that you are not a very capable master? Things like transforming mechanical legs. But he suddenly thought of the professionalism and confidence revealed by Ji Xinghe when he was groping for his mechanical leg just now, and the badge on Ji Xinghe's chest, which was the badge of the mechanic. Yes, I will help you, I can help you. Ji Xinghe's voice was full of confidence, just like he did not look back when he left the number 109 operation area just now. Shen Mu next to him was about to endorse Ji Xinghe, but suddenly thought of Ji Xinghe's purpose of coming to the alien planet, and the high medical expenses of Xingxin who was eating quietly next to him. Lao Ji, this is not something that can be done in a few days. It's okay, Ji Xinghe laughed. I don't have much time, but his leg is really important, because his leg was sacrificed for all of us. Chapter 38 I Reject. The noise in the cafeteria disappeared, and everyone looked at the old man and the cripple quietly. The old man and the cripple were just names and facts, and there was no discrimination. Really, is it okay? The second lieutenant officer still didn't believe it. He chose a hope, and this hope also gave him hope, but he was not confident deep down in his heart, because everyone in this base told him, you are no longer good, you should retire, you can go back to the Blue Star and live a good life, and this war can be safely handed over to us. Yes, it's really okay. Ji Xinghe was very serious in both tone and expression. If you just take off your armor and fight, it's really okay. The second lieutenant's eyes were red. He wanted to say something but couldn't say anything. He wanted to cry but his identity didn't allow him to cry. After taking a deep breath and another deep breath, he calmed down in the quiet cafeteria and slowly spoke. Thank you, but, thank you very much. The second lieutenant officer bowed to Private Ji Xinghe. This had nothing to do with military rank, but with age and hope, and then he turned and left. This scene made Ji Xinghe a little stunned. He didn't understand why he had already promised the other party, but the other party chose to leave. He didn't report his name, didn't agree on the time to transform the mechanical leg, and didn't say when to start learning special combat methods. He just left directly, so he chose to give up. But Ji Xinghe didn't stop him. He respected everyone's dreams and persistence, and was willing to help others' dreams and persistence to the best of his ability, but he wouldn't force anything because he didn't have much time. The other people in the cafeteria also watched the second lieutenant's back as he left silently. Some of them understood, some didn't, but they also respected the choice of the second lieutenant, because the second lieutenant was a hero, and this was a hero cherishing a hero. Because everyone in the space and everyone on the alien planet can be called a hero. When the second lieutenant's back disappeared at the entrance of the cafeteria, a voice that Ji Xinghe was somewhat familiar with suddenly sounded behind him. No matter how good he is at fighting without armor, he can't beat the mecha, and he can't go into battle to kill the enemy, so he chose to give up, because he didn't want to waste your time, didn't want to waste everyone's time, and didn't want to waste our limited resources. It was the lieutenant colonel who had stopped Ji Xinghe and others in the mecha area before. He didn't know when he came to the cafeteria. His expression at this time was exactly the same as before, and his voice was just as cold. He just wanted to know if he had become a useless person, and if he had a chance to fight again in armor. You told him that he hadn't become a useless person, and also told him that he didn't have the chance to fight again in armor, so he said thank you to you, so he chose to give up after you agreed. Ji Xinghe understood, and everyone else understood too. This kind of emphasis and cherishment of resources is the consensus and persistence of all those who have survived on alien planets for more than half a year. Private Ji Xinghe, here. Ji Xinghe was a little uncomfortable when he responded. Operations Section Number 109 has officially approved your employment. Your personnel relationship and corresponding authority will be transferred to the Mecha Section. Report to Operations Section Number 109 in the Mecha Section on time at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Yes. Ji Xinghe got what he wanted but was a little unhappy, because he suddenly realized that the lieutenant colonel's answer just now was not only an answer and explanation, but also a reminder to him. But the lieutenant colonel didn't know that Ji Xinghe had understood, so he said it directly and mercilessly. You are already a mechanic in the Mecha Section. Your time no longer belongs to you. Your limited working time resources should be used in more important places. You are right. You don't have much time. His legs are also important, but this war is more important. The mechas that can play the most important role in this war are more important. Others in the cafeteria did not question it because they all thought so. It's just that they were shocked. How could a private mechanic, who is obviously an ordinary mechanic majoring in auto repair, go to the mecha section? The lowest rank of mechanics in the mecha section is also a non-commissioned officer. The military rank system of the Federation is very simple. From low to high, the soldier level is private and private first class. The non-commissioned officer level is corporal, sergeant, staff sergeant, fourth class sergeant major, third class sergeant major, second class sergeant major, first class sergeant major, followed by lieutenants, colonels, and generals. Among them, only colonels are divided into 4 levels: major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, and senior colonel. Lieutenants and generals only have 3 levels: lower, middle, and upper. Professional and technical officers will be prefixed with professional and technical before their military ranks, so strictly speaking, Ji Xinghe should be a professional and technical private, and Shen should be a professional and technical second lieutenant. Judging from the military rank, Ji Xinghe's professional and technical level is very low, and he should not go to the mecha area. And Ji Xinghe's age? He looks like he is in his 50s or 60s. Can he really withstand the high-intensity working environment and time in the mecha area? The lieutenant colonel only said that Ji Xinghe's working hours were 8 o'clock in the morning, but he did not say what time Ji Xinghe would get off work. For the people in the base, this was not a problem, because the mecha area basically had no off-duty time. They would only go to sleep when they were too sleepy, and would only come to eat when the cafeteria was about to close. If it were not for the fact that the cafeteria in the base could not provide special meals for anyone, they would not even think of eating until they were too hungry. However, Ji Xinghe questioned it, because he was not a professional soldier, and he was not used to the duty of soldiers to obey orders. Is repairing the mecha really more important than repairing his leg? Everyone in the cafeteria was shocked. How dare this old Ji talk back to this lieutenant colonel? The huge gap in military rank is only one aspect. The gap in actual power is even greater than the gap in military rank between the two. The lieutenant colonel officer was not angry. There was still no expression on his face. His tone was very calm. He spoke without any hesitation. Yes, it's more important, Ji Xinghe asked. Then why did you wait until he left before saying these words? Is it because you don't dare to face him, old Ji, you, Shen Mu and Su He spoke at the same time. Their expressions were more nervous than everyone else in the cafeteria. But to their surprise, the lieutenant colonel officer still didn't get angry. No. I'm not waiting for him to leave, but waiting for him to make his own choice. Why not force him to make a choice? Because he has the right to choose, and you have it too, Private Xinghe. Do you want to refuse the formal appointment of the number 109 operating section of the mecha area? I have the responsibility and obligation to remind you that when you formally refuse, the update progress and content of your mission log, as well as the accumulation of salary and merits, will change accordingly. I also have the right to choose? Is it because military law also has feelings, or because I didn't join the army normally? Ji Xinghe, who has always been decisive, hesitated and tangled. He looked at Xinghe, not seeking Xinghe's opinion, but thinking of the high cost and precious resources needed to treat Xinghe. If you don't go to repair the mecha. But what he didn't expect was that Xinghe gave him a suggestion. Grandpa, that uncle is a mecha warrior like my father, and the same as those people my mother saved. This is not actually a suggestion, but a fact that seems to have nothing to do with a choice, but it made Ji Xinghe make a choice. Excuse me, if I refuse, can I still repair the mecha? For example, freely accept maintenance tasks. Yes, okay, I refuse. Ji Xinghe, who tried his best to go to the mecha area to repair the mecha, chose to refuse when he received a formal offer, not because he was too sympathetic, but because he thought of his son Ji Xinghe. If Ji Xinghe had not died in the battle, but lost a leg like the second lieutenant, would Ji Xinghe choose to leave the alien front? No one knows his son better than his father. Ji Xinghe knew that Ji Xinghe would not, no matter what method he used, Ji Xinghe would choose to stay and continue fighting. For some people, sacrifice is not scary. What is scary is that they don't even have the ability to choose to sacrifice in battle. Just like Ji Xinghe himself, he doesn't have the ability to choose to sacrifice now. Chapter 39, Less Talk, More action. Everyone in the cafeteria dispersed. Perhaps because of the appearance of the lieutenant colonel officer, no one came to ask Ji Xinghe, the peerless master, whether he would accept disciples. After no one disturbed them, the grandfather and grandson had a full meal. Shen Mu, who was sighing, and Su He, who was excited, also had their fill. When the meal time was about to end, the group of four was blocked by someone when they were about to leave the cafeteria. Mr. G, is it because of my bad attitude just now? Master Liu said excitedly. If so, please allow me to apologize to you. I'm sorry, I really didn't expect you to repair mechas, and you said you had never touched a mecha before. But you can't refuse my employment because of my attitude. Not for the sake of those mecha warriors who need mechas to continue fighting, you should also give me a chance to make up for it for the sake of my grandfather. Our number 109 operating section, Master Liu, you are too serious. It's really not because of this. It was actually my bad attitude just now. I should apologize to you. Ji Xinghe stopped Master Liu's words, explained what happened just now, and then said, I can repair mecha parts as a free man, which does not belong to your number 109 operating section, but I will accept your repair needs as long as I can repair them and complete them as soon as possible. I just want to give the child another chance. Believe me, repairing his mechanical legs and teaching him how to fight will not delay too much time. I am old, and I sleep very little. You also know that you are old, right? You don't sleep less, but you sleep shallowly because you don't have enough energy. Master Liu hesitated to speak. He was not the lieutenant colonel who could speak coldly about his duty, so he could not stop Ji Xinghe from helping those who should be helped. However, he was reluctant to give up Ji Xinghe's 8th level fitter ability. An 8th level fitter who understood the structure of mecha parts and an 8th level fitter in the auto repair industry were two completely different concepts. Let's do this. Ji Xinghe patted Master Liu on the shoulder. This was actually a bit against the rules, because Master Liu was a professional technical lieutenant, but who made Ji Xinghe older and appear of Master Liu's grandfather? I slept on the spacecraft for 3 months. I have been very energetic recently. I go to the mecha area to work after I coax my granddaughter to sleep at night. Let's talk less and do more. What do you think? Talking less and doing more has always been the principle followed by the mecha area and even the entire base and the entire alien planet. Okay, then G. Old man, you have to work harder, but health is the most important thing. Master Liu stopped pestering. He actually wanted to call Ji Grandpa, but he felt that the age gap between the two was not that big. He wanted to call Ji Uncle, and Ji Xinghe did know his grandfather. It is not appropriate to address each other by military rank and level. For professional and technical personnel, the principle of achievement is always first. Okay, I know. Ji Xinghe was about to leave, and Master Liu and others were going to eat. If they were later, they would really not care about the food. Wait, Master Liu suddenly remembered something before entering the cafeteria. Old Mr. G, you just said you wanted to teach people how to fight. Yeah, what's wrong? Haven't you been repairing cars all the time, for more than 50 years? Yeah, occasionally practice kung fu. You know, repairing cars is not that busy, but, Master Liu wanted to say that you should not delay him, but it was hard to say it. Ji Xinghe understood what Master Liu meant, smiled and waved his hand. It's okay, I know what I'm doing. See you in the mecha area later. Master Liu, who had already finished get off work, would definitely go to the mecha area later. There was no doubt about this and there was no need to ask. Ji Xinghe already knew this and was sure of it. Okay, see you later. After the two sides separated, Shen Mu finally couldn't help but speak. Old Ji, how could you sleep on the spaceship for 3 months? You were reading books and designing old man music every day. You should have a good rest tonight. The quality of sleep in a state of weightlessness is very average. Don't hurt your body, Su He also echoed from the side. They all knew that Ji Xinghe did not sleep every day in the past 3 months, and his sleep time was even less than the normal sleep needs. It's okay, I know what's going on. Ji Xinghe didn't want to explain, but seeing Xingxin's worried eyes, he explained, actually, I have always slept very little. Since I started practicing martial arts, I only need to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day. My mother took me to the hospital before, and the doctor said that I was in deep sleep, and 4 or 5 hours would be enough. Shen Mu was stunned. When was that? When I was in the 5th grade of elementary school. You have been sleeping only 4 or 5 hours a day since the 5th grade of elementary school. Yes, what did you do with the extra time? reading, repairing things, and practicing martial arts. No wonder Lao Ji's professional skills certificate allows me to keep turning the pages. No wonder Lao Ji can become an 8th level fitter. No wonder Lao Ji can become a peerless master. No wonder. Master, please accept your disciples' greetings. Shen Mu actually knelt down directly. Don't be weird, you are Lieutenant Mechanic Shen Mu. If you have time, go to work. Ji Xinghe stretched out his hand and pulled Shen Mu up. It seemed like Shen Mu stood up in cooperation, but from Shen Mu's shocked expression, it was actually because of Ji Xinghe's strength that he had to stand up. What Shen Mu didn't know was that just such a simple pull contained a skill that was even rarer than strength. Old Ji, what you said is, I am still worried about you, Shen Mu said a little aggrieved. Ji Xinghe patted his shoulder. Don't worry about me. I should ask you a lot of questions in the future, as long as you don't get annoyed when the time comes. What about martial arts? When will you teach me martial arts? If you want to learn, you can come and see when you have time, okay? Don't worry, old Ji, I won't waste working time, nor will I not work overtime. You are so old and you know it in your heart, and I must know it in my heart. As they were talking, it was time for the group to separate. Shen Mu wanted to go back to the place assigned to him to live, and he also had to familiarize himself with the environment and prepare for formal reporting. After what happened today, he decided to report in advance and start work in advance. So he followed Ji Xinghe back to Xingxin's room before leaving. He also had to go back to where he lived and replace the battery for the drone. It was agreed that Ji Xinghe would call him when he went to the Mecha area, so he was not in a hurry. Ji Xinghe has now discovered the benefits of having Suhu with him. Suhu is a war correspondent who only has the task of filming and interviewing, so he can help take care of Xingxin while he is working. So he doesn't mind this at all and is even very happy, because he also knows the shortage of alien resources. Not only material resources, but also human resources and technical resources are very tight. It is also very important for him to be able to do something meaningful. Grandpa, don't you really need to rest? No, Grandpa slept for 3 months, but Uncle Shen Mu said you didn't sleep. Believe Grandpa, Grandpa really only needs to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day. Grandpa, can you teach me? This way I will have more time to read books, repair things, and practice martial arts like Grandpa every day, of course, but the premise is that Xingxin must eat and sleep on time. Only in this way can she learn it. Okay, let's make a pinky promise. After making a pinky promise, Xingxin began to drive people away. Grandpa, go to work quickly. Xingxin doesn't need to be coaxed to sleep. Xingxin can do it. Ji Xinghe didn't want to leave, and he didn't want to leave either. Grandpa can use surveillance to watch Xingxin. Mom used to do this every night when she worked overtime. Xingxin would use the communicator in the room to call Grandpa when she had something to do. Is that true? While Ji Xinghe was hesitating, Xingxin had already held Ji Xinghe's right hand and began to operate the bracelet. Her movements were very skillful, and it seemed that she had often operated her mother's bracelet in this way before. She quickly called up the surveillance screen in the room, because this was the room her mother left for her, so there was a relevant permission password. Grandpa, go quickly, because they need Grandpa. Xingxin will be very good, because Xingxin also wants to be someone they need, someone like Mom, someone like Dad, and someone like Grandpa. Ji Xinghe was speechless. After watching Xingxin skillfully wash her face, brush her teeth, and wash her feet, and get into bed and cover herself with a thin quilt, he finally left. The short departure was for a longer reunion and a better future. He couldn't let down such a sensible Xingxin. Mecha area, here I come. Chapter 40 Selfishness. Ji Xinghe actually doesn't want to go to the Mecha area now. He wants to meet the second lieutenant who has the mechanical leg installed, but unfortunately he doesn't know his name or number, so he can't contact him at all. He shouldn't be able to sleep, right? Just like himself. Can Xingxin sleep? She probably can't sleep either, but she will definitely lie in bed motionless, because she doesn't want to make herself worry, and doesn't want to affect her work, just like she didn't want to affect her mother's work before. Then I should work harder. Ji Xinghe thought so and came to the Mecha area. This time he came alone. Without Shen Mu's help to refresh the permission information, he felt that he might not be able to get in. After all, he refused the offer of the number 109 operating section and publicly questioned the lieutenant colonel who looked like the person in charge in the base. Unexpectedly, but also within reason, when he approached the metal door of the Mecha area, the authority authentication was completed directly, and an electronic voice sounded, "Welcome, Professional technical private mechanic Ji Xinghe. He had the authority to enter the mecha area, but his task log was blank, so even if he went in, he didn't know what he should do, and what he could do. "Old Ji, wait for me to give you the authority," Shen Mu shouted at the corner of the corridor. He and Sui came here together, because the two people's accommodations were originally very close, and Ji Xinghe was assigned to live with them, but Ji Xinghe has never gone back until now. "No, I have the authority." Ji Xinghe was the first to enter the metal door. He couldn't wait, not only because he had to work harder, but also because he had been a person who loved mechanics since he was a child. He embarked on the road of mechanics because of his hobby. Repairing and manufacturing mechas was his dream. Shen Mu paused for a moment. Sui had already followed him at a trot. He had just applied for the corresponding authority, and now he could freely enter and exit the mecha area even without Shen Mu and Ji Xinghe. "Wait for me." After Shen Mu chased in, he followed Ji Xinghe like a follower and started to chatter. "I have completed the report. I was assigned to the number 21 operation area and am the person in charge." The original person in charge applied to go to the front line and never came back. "Lao Ji, why don't you come and help me? You are a real 8th level fitter. I never dreamed that I would have such a day. The maintenance of mechas on alien planets is not all done in the base. The mechas that can be transported to the base for maintenance are actually very lucky. The mechanics here are also relatively safe. The real danger and difficulty are those damaged mechas and mechanics on the front battlefield." "No," Ji Xinghe refused again and gave a reason. "I've checked too. If I go to your place, or to 109, I will be included in your daily task log. Not only will you be very tired, but I will also have no time. The base's artificial intelligence program and command center will allocate the content of the daily task log based on factors such as the personnel configuration and technical level of each operating area. To put it simply, those who are capable will work harder and get more pay. But if you don't come to me or go to 109, who can teach you?" Shen Mu questioned. "You can't do it alone. I know you have strong personal abilities and strong learning ability. You only need to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day, but the problem is that the efficiency of self-study is very low. When we are together, you can avoid many detours. Lao Ji, it's not that I don't want to help you, I'm just afraid that after I get busy here, I won't have time to answer many of your questions. I'm very good at repairing, and my task log is probably going to be full. You can't wait until I finish my daily tasks before teaching you." Sui echoed from the side. "Yes, Lao Ji, although you know a little about mecha, you are self-taught. These old masters and Shen Mu, who are trained in professional schools, can really help you avoid many detours. If you really want to help that second lieutenant, it won't take much time. He shouldn't be so anxious as long as you start to help him, so you don't need to be anxious. Let's just say, can you join 109 or Shen Mu's 21 first, and then resign if it doesn't work out? That's fine." Ji Xinghe looked at the mecha area, which was almost as busy as before dinner or before the normal get-off work time, and the total number of mechanics was almost the same. He was silent for a while before speaking. "In fact, I know very well that I shouldn't have been here. I'm too old, so I'm actually a redundant person here. Yes, I took up some resources to come here, and living here will also take up some resources. I must make corresponding contributions, but I think I can do it. And is the second lieutenant really the only one in this base who needs help?" Shen Mu and Sui were silent. The battle on the alien front was very tragic. There were many people who became disabled like the second lieutenant. Many of them were unwilling to leave the alien front, but they lost the ability to continue fighting in the true sense. Ji Xinghe looked at Sui. "Zio Su, I found out that there is a remnant company in the base. Please do me a favor and collect all their information, as well as the second lieutenant officer. I need to know his name, his previous fighting style, and it would be best if there is a combat video recorded by the black box of his previous mecha." The remnant company, as the name suggests, is made up of people like the second lieutenant officer. They were reluctant to leave, so they were incorporated into the remnant company. Sui did not agree at the first time. Shen Mu asked the question that Sui also wanted to ask. "Why? No reason, I just want to do this. If I have to say something. Don't you think the old man who no one is optimistic about and the remnant company that no one is optimistic about are a good match?" Shen Mu and Sui, who originally thought that Ji Xinghe would say some great truths or touching words, were a little surprised. "Is it really just because of this?" "No, of course not. Ji Xinghe is actually selfish, because he also wants to fight in armor, but he can't have his own mecha at his age. Even if he earns resources to build Lao Taoli, he has no chance to wear armor in the true sense. But if those people can have the opportunity to fight in armor again, and show the corresponding ability, why can't an old man like me fight in armor? As for those heroes who should have retired and returned to the Blue Star, whether they will be sacrificed for this, Ji Xinghe doesn't need to consider this issue, because the choice is in the hands of those heroes, not in his hands. He wants to give those people a chance, and those people can give him a chance. Okay. So he agreed without going into it. He felt that this section was in line with the theme of the documentary, The Old Man and the Starry Sea. Shenmue didn't persuade him anymore. The three of them came to the number 109 mecha area while talking. At this time, Master Liu and others were installing parts on a mecha, which was the one that Ji Xinghe had repaired before. After testing and confirming that there was no problem, they were going to install the parts on the mecha for actual machine testing. Ji Xinghe came at the right time, but he didn't want to see this. Master Liu, can I see your requirements list? You don't look at the actual machine test, Master Ji. Although we value time, we really don't need these few minutes. No need to look. I told you, I fixed it. Chapter 41 Strength. Ji Xinghe, who is very polite and good-tempered, becomes very overbearing when it comes to three things. The first one is his granddaughter, the second one is the kung fu that brought him the status of a peerless master, and the third one is related to mechanical repair, even if he repairs mechas instead of cars, which he is best at. Master Liu and others did not force Ji Xinghe to watch the actual machine test. In fact, they were just inviting him out of politeness. There are 8 mechanics in the number 109 operation area. At this time, only Master Liu, the person in charge, and 2 other people participated in the actual machine test, and the other 5 people have been doing maintenance work. You go to number 21 first, don't waste time. Ji Xinghe drove Shenmue away directly when he was looking at the list of maintenance needs on a holographic projection screen. In fact, Shenmue wanted to continue to persuade Ji Xinghe to go to number 21 with him. After all, everyone needs to be familiar with each other, but Ji Xinghe is unwilling to go for the time being. He wants to know what he can do. So Shenmue had no choice but to leave. The treatment he received was of the top standard, whether it was 30,000 contribution points or the rank of second lieutenant, and he had just arrived on the alien planet and became the person in charge of an operation area, which made him have to go all out and not waste too much time on Ji Xinghe. Sui, who stayed behind, was well prepared. He brought a handheld camera and let the drone automatically follow Ji Xinghe. He used the handheld camera to shoot the mecha with replaced parts, and at the same time conducted an interview without affecting Master Liu and others. Master Liu, what is this part that Lao Ji repaired? Master Liu is actually a little bored now. The actual machine test has little to do with him and his mechanics. The main thing is that the system captures the corresponding parameter changes in the process of the mecha warrior driving the mecha. When the system and the mecha warrior simultaneously determine that there is no problem, they will complete the maintenance task. To put it simply, it's an energy transmission plate that was deformed in the previous battle, and the energy transmission lines on it were damaged. Are our resources so scarce that even an energy transmission plate needs to be repaired instead of replaced? We're just trying to save as much as possible. Our resources are not so tight, but they're not abundant either. Then how did Lao Ji repair it? He ground the energy transmission plate flat, and then recarved the transmission lines. The 8th level fitter really lives up to his reputation. The allowable error of the energy transmission plate after grinding is only 0.05 millimeters. He only used simple tools to achieve hand carving with near zero tolerance, which is incredible. Is there any difference between the effect of Lao Ji's repairs and that of replacing parts? Under normal circumstances, there is. But Master Ji, do you all call him Lao Ji? Yes, this is Lao Ji's own request. Master Liu can also be called that. Okay, then I'll call it that too. After we tested the one that Lao Ji repaired, we found that its performance parameters are exactly the same as the brand new ones, so from this perspective, there is no difference in the effect of the repair and the effect of replacing parts. But in terms of service life, the repaired one is indeed not as good as the new one because it has become thinner. Does that mean that Lao Ji's repair is meaningful, but not very meaningful? No, it is actually very meaningful, because the service life. How should I put it? If our mechas can reach the expected service life when they are designed and manufactured, it means that we can already win this war. Do you understand what I mean? I see. Because the battles are too frequent, the service life itself does not mean much. As long as the performance parameters are reached, it is no different from replacing brand new parts. That's right. During the interview, the actual machine test had been completed, and the mecha warriors and the system in the mecha area simultaneously determined that there was no problem with the mecha, so the maintenance mission was completed, and a mecha-specific cart drove over from a distance, ready to take the mecha back to the battlefield. It's out, Xiaodong, go spray gold stars. 11. Master Liu, who had been idle just now, suddenly got excited and shouted. The young man next to him, called Xiaodong, was also well prepared. He rushed to the mecha with a gold paint spray gun and a metal plate with a 5-pointed star and started spraying gold stars. Sui was actually very familiar with this scene, but in order to let the audience who watched the documentary understand, he still asked, Master Liu, has this mecha that has just been repaired found its new owner? Yes, a first-level mecha warrior. His mecha was damaged in the previous battle and is being towed back for repair. This mecha that we have been repairing for half a month has just been assigned to him by the system and will be delivered to him in 3 days. Of course, the mecha that can be towed back to the base for repair cannot have only one damaged part. The half-month repair time means that 99% of the repair work was completed by Master Liu and his team. Ji Xinghe only completed the last step of their hesitation on whether to replace or repair. Sui's focus is not on this, but on another more important point for him and this base. 3 days, is it so close? 3 days is not a short journey, but it is very close for war, and it is very close to base number 6. He did not ask this question, and Master Liu and the others did not say anything. From their expressions, it seems that they are not worried at all. In fact, it is true. There is nothing to worry about in just 3 days. They have seen the battle outside the base before. On the other side, Ji Xinghe, who has already read the list of maintenance needs, did not surprise Master Liu and chose the maintenance needs that he is best at, all of which are the energy transmission panels of the mecha. Give me all these damaged boards, and the repair tools I used last time. Ji Xinghe was a little impatient, but Master Liu questioned him again. Old Ji, these boards are different from the ones you repaired last time. They belong to different parts of different standard mechas. Do you understand all of this? Not too much, but this one is easier to repair because there are technical parameter drawings. I'll just copy them. Copy them. Master Liu was stunned, but this is not a matter of copying them at all. It's okay if the texture is damaged. You can grind off the previous texture and then recarve it with your level. But some boards have been completely deformed and need to be sheet metaled before grinding off the previous texture, such as this board. Master Liu pointed to the repair needs selected by Ji Xinghe. The maximum error after grinding is only 0.05 mm, and the maximum error after sheet metal is only 0.01 mm. If you make some mistakes when sheet metaling, the maximum allowable error will be even smaller. No one can handle it except the robotic arm and the machine tool. I'm going to cancel the repair needs and replace it directly, Ji Xinghe insisted. Since you are ready to replace it, why not repair it for me? But you are too old, your physical strength and energy are limited. Why not use your limited physical strength and energy for more meaningful maintenance? Actually, my physical strength and energy should be better than yours. The 37-year-old Master Liu was offended, so he stopped arguing and directly arranged for people to give Ji Xinghe everything he needed. However, Ji Xinghe did not stay in the number 109 operating area, but found an unused operating area to start maintenance work, so he did not hear the conversation in the number 109 operating area. Master, why don't you persuade him? Isn't he wasting time and resources? This old Ji has a stubborn temper. Can he be persuaded? Wait until he learns from his mistakes. Master Liu and the people in number 109, including Shen Mu and Suhi, did not know that some people are stubborn just because of their personality, while others are stubborn because of their strength. Ji Xinghe is the latter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42. He said to himself. Ji Xinghe was not as confident as he said. After reading the maintenance demand list of the 109 operation area again, he found that there were not many things he could repair. As Master Liu said, he should study mecha maintenance for at least 1 year, be familiar with mecha maintenance operations, and understand all the standard mechas of the Federation. After all, mecha maintenance and car maintenance are two completely different concepts. Or as Shen Mu said, join an operation area, and when repairing the parts that he can repair, use all opportunities and time to learn from others eagerly, even if others don't have time to guide him. With his more than 40 years of experience in auto repair and various professional skills, he can learn a lot from just watching others repair. But just like Master Liu didn't hire him to join the 109th operation area when he knew he was an 8th level fitter, he knew like everyone else that he was already very old and he didn't have that much time to study normally. Ji Xinghe, you have to do everything you can, and do these well before talking about other things, Ji Xinghe said to himself in his heart, and then he began to repair the energy transmission board. He was not confident in the maintenance of the mecha. He was confident in his physical fitness and energy, as well as the ability of an 8th level fitter and the experience brought by more than 40 years of work, as well as the physical fitness, stability and precision of his eyes and hands brought by martial arts training since the 5th grade of elementary school. The energy transmission board is a product of the new era. To sum it up concisely, it is wires. There are very few lines similar to wires in the federal band mecha of the new era. Whether it is the flow and transmission of energy or the transmission of information data, energy transmission boards made of metals unique to alien planets are used. You only need to carve out the lines on it, and energy or data will pass through the lines. The transmission efficiency and stability are higher than traditional lines, and there will be no conflict with the connected metal parts. If there is damage, replacing the energy transmission board is much faster than replacing the line system, and it is also easier to find the specific damaged parts. You only need to observe the lines on the energy transmission board. Before coming to the alien planet, Ji Xinghe knew about the energy transmission board, but he didn't know the engraving route of those lines. However, he still chose to repair the energy transmission board because he had the corresponding authority and could see the circuit diagram of all federal standard mechas. What happened afterwards was very difficult for others, but it was relatively simple for him. In his words to Master Liu, it was just copying the gourd. When Ji Xinghe picked up a slender energy transmission board, some of it was soft and deformed directly. It was not secondary damage, but its own flexibility was very good, just like a soft sword. Flat on the workbench, Ji Xinghe took a special magnifying glass and began to observe the lines on it, and from time to time he looked at the screen on his bracelet. By comparing the two, the damaged area was easily found, and then what needed to be determined was whether the damaged lines could be re-engraved. If it could be, then just get started and repair it within the maximum error of 0.05. If it cannot be re-engraved, then all the lines on this energy transmission board need to be polished off, and then re-engraved within the maximum error of 0.02 or even 0.01. The smaller the allowable error is, the more difficult it is. The maximum error of 0.01 mm is a maintenance project that many people in the mecha area are unwilling to start. If they are not careful, they will be damaged, and then they can only be thrown to the robotic arm that needs to queue up. It is better to throw it directly to the robotic arm at the beginning. There is no way to recycle. This special metal has only one chance to smelt from mineral to metal form. If it is remelted after forming, it will lose its characteristics of transmitting energy and data. Therefore, its smelting work is also very difficult. A large number of artificial intelligence program computing resources, robotic arms, etc. are used on it. Ji Xinghe is under great pressure, but when he starts to repair, his breathing, hands, and eyes are very stable. The carving knife in his hand is under a fixed special magnifying glass. The lines projected by the laser caliper seem to be motionless, but in fact it is always moving, so new and effective lines are generated. After a board was repaired, Ji Xinghe did not stop to rest. His energy and physical fitness are really good, otherwise it would be impossible to run 10 kilometers in 35 minutes. If it were any other old man of the same age, or even one who was 15 years younger than him, he might not be able to run 10 kilometers in an hour, let alone 35 minutes. If he managed to finish the run, he would need a stretcher. There was a problem with the repair of the second board. It was not Ji Xinghe's problem, but the re-engraved lines did not pass the test, which meant that all the lines on the flat board needed to be ground, and then a full set of lines needed to be engraved on a thinner board. So Ji Xinghe started to grind. He was also confident in this aspect. One of the test items for the 8th level fitter was to grind a sphere. An irregularly shaped metal ingot was ground into a sphere that was as round as possible with tools, and the allowable tolerance was only 0.01 millimeters. If it were a technological tool such as a robotic arm or a machine tool, it would not be difficult to do this, but when it was replaced by human hands, automated tools could not be used in the later stages of grinding the sphere, and tools such as files and chisels could only be used to grind it bit by bit. Ji Xinghe seemed to have returned to the time of the exam, except that Master Liu's grandfather was no longer in the exam room, and he was no longer 45 years old, but 65 years old now. But his hands were as steady as before, his vision was as accurate as before, his experience was richer than before, and his inner motivation was stronger than before. The difficulty of grinding and then re-engraving all the lines is not only that the maximum allowable error is only 0.02 millimeters, and some parts are even only 0.01 millimeters, but that there are more lines on this board. The more the number of lines that need to be engraved, the greater the possibility of mistakes. A journey of 100 miles begins with a single step? No, completing 90% of the engraving is not halfway done, but a complete failure, a greater failure than starting from scratch, because if you want to grind and engrave again after failure, the maximum allowable error is 0.005 to 0.001 millimeters. In Shenmue's words, this is a manual precision that exceeds the limit of human beings. Even the unit of millimeter can no longer be used. It has reached the nanometer level that only robotic arms and machine tools can achieve. Ji Xinghe, 65 years old, is actually very suitable for such a job, because he is very old, which was originally his disadvantage, but now it has become his advantage, because the older he is, the more patient he will be. Just like many old men and women, they can sit in one position from dawn to dusk, without playing with mobile phones, reading books or watching TV, and the scenery in their sight can even remain unchanged. But this is not because they do not need to feel the external objects, nor because they have lost the ability to feel the external objects, but because they can clearly feel the passage of time. So, the second board was repaired, and Ji Xinghe did not test it this time, just like he did not test it when the first board was repaired. He tested the second board when the first repair was completed only because he did not have enough experience, and now his experience and intuition told him that he had repaired it, so there was no need to test it. The experience brought by the two boards is still too little, but it doesn't matter. There are 39 boards in the number 109 operation area that need to be repaired, and there are 149 operation areas in the mecha area of this base, and they all have board repair needs. Ji Xinghe, do what you can do first. Mechas are actually the same as cars. It doesn't matter if they are a little more complicated. Take one part at a time. Sooner or later you will be able to repair mechas like you repair cars. You will be able to build mechas like you build your own cars. Ji Xinghe said this to himself in his heart and began to repair the third board. What he and everyone else in the mecha area didn't notice was that his repair speed was getting faster and faster. Chapter 43. You all must believe in him. At 12 o'clock midnight, the sky outside the base was still bright, but it was already dark inside the base. The lights in many places had become dim. Some of the people who adhered to the Blue Star's work and rest habits had fallen asleep, and some were preparing to go to bed. This work and rest habit, which was completely inconsistent with the work and rest habits of sunrise and sunset, was also one of the reasons why everyone on the alien planet was under great pressure to survive. A day on the alien planet was actually 24 hours, 37 minutes and 22.6 seconds, so this situation of not distinguishing between day and night would occur every once in a while. The mechanics in the mecha area could be said to be one of the last people to go to bed in the base. After dinner at 8 o'clock, they worked overtime for about 4 hours before returning to their respective residences to wash and sleep, and then appeared in the mecha area on time at 8 o'clock the next morning. From the perspective of sleep time, it was completely insufficient, because the time to wash after get off work at 12 o'clock, and the time to wash and eat breakfast before coming to work the next morning, added up to at least an hour. With less than 7 hours of sleep a day and high-intensity mecha maintenance work, it is difficult for anyone to survive for months, but many of them have persisted for several years. Master Liu is one of the best. He has been on the alien planet for 10 years. After temporarily finishing his work, Master Liu did not leave today, but waited for a while beside Ji Xinghe before speaking. Old Ji, it's time to rest. It's already 12 o'clock. Ji Xinghe, who had just completed the maintenance of the fifth board today, was about to pick up the sixth board. Because it was not tested, Master Liu did not know that he had already repaired this board. Not only this one, all the boards repaired by Ji Xinghe tonight were actually not tested. Only the first maintenance of the second board was tested, and the result was a failure. So in Master Liu's opinion, Ji Xinghe did not make any substantial progress tonight. Is it 12 o'clock already? Ji Xinghe realized that time passed so quickly. Looking at the remaining boards, he hesitated and said, "Can I work overtime for another 2 hours? Don't worry, I won't delay my work tomorrow morning." Master Liu, who didn't know that Ji Xinghe only needed to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day, got angry. "Old Ji, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but why are you so stubborn? Okay, so what if I ask you to work overtime for 2 hours? Even if you successfully repair a board, what's the point? In 2 hours, it will be 2 o'clock, and the earliest you can go back to wash and rest is 2:30. If you want to come here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you have to get up at 7:20 at the latest. Tell me, how long can you sleep?" 4 hours and 50 minutes, Ji Xinghe said seriously. "That's enough, enough." Master Liu couldn't say the word shit in the end. He sighed and said, "Old Ji, if you're like this, I will take back all the commissions I gave you. I can also guarantee that all the operating areas here will not be commissioned to you. Even if Lieutenant Shen Mu can commission you, how much can he give you? You may not be able to repair a board in 6 hours a night. You might as well go to repair cars. If your body collapses, I can't afford it." The people in the know. 109 operating area were originally ready to leave. They were indeed very tired, but they stayed because of Master Liu and Ji Xinghe. People in several nearby operating areas finally couldn't help their curiosity and came to watch. When they went to the cafeteria to eat in the evening, they had heard that a peerless master came to the base, and he was an 8th level fitter, who repaired a board that could only be repaired by a robotic arm under normal circumstances. If it weren't for the arduous and heavy maintenance task, they should have come to watch Ji Xinghe before. Hearing what Master Liu said, everyone frowned. In their opinion, the old man Ji Xinghe was just a stubborn duck. He didn't have the ability but wanted to stay in the mecha area as a mechanic, regardless of his own health and other people's work plans. Ji Xinghe finally understood the reason for Master Liu's anger. He didn't argue. Instead, he put the first board he had repaired on the testing instrument in front of everyone, set the program and started the test. With a ding, the green light on the testing instrument lit up, which meant that the test passed. If the test failed, there would be a beep and then a red light. Master Liu was stunned for a moment, but this was just the beginning. Ji Xinghe put the second board on it, and according to the standard mecha model and part of the board, he set the test program and started the test. Ling, 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 ling. 5 sounds represent that in the 4 hours tonight, Ji Xinghe has repaired 5 boards. This speed is nothing compared to the mechanical arm. The mechanical arm can complete the repair of a board within 1 minute, and complete the polishing and re-engraving of the entire set of patterns in 3 to 4 minutes. But compared to the manual repair speed of all the mechanics in the mecha area. From the stunned expressions of everyone around at this moment, it is enough to explain everything. However, what Ji Xinghe needs is not the shock of the people around him, or shouting something terrifying. He just does everything he can within his ability and continues to work while he still has the physical strength and energy. Master Liu, I can work overtime for another 2 hours. I can at least repair 2 boards, and 3 if everything goes well. Ji Xinghe hesitated for a moment before continuing, I don't need to pay overtime. Just give me the contribution points for repairing 1 board. Master Liu didn't know what to say. He felt his face was a little hot. He knew his face was red without anyone reminding him or looking in the mirror. What's wrong? What's wrong? Lao Ji, are you okay? Shen Mu rushed over yelling, squeezed through the crowd, stood in front of Ji Xinghe, looked around, and rolled up his sleeves. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you looking at Lao Ji with such weird eyes? If you have anything, come to me. Suhi next to him was originally very sleepy, but at this moment he was extremely energetic. He grabbed Shen Mu's shoulder and pulled him aside. Nothing happened, don't make trouble. Besides, what if Lao Ji needs you for something? Shen Mu was stronger than Suhi. After all, being a mechanic is a physical job, but because of Suhi's words and suddenly remembering Ji Xinghe's martial arts level, he was pulled away by Suhi. I'm sorry, Lao Ji, I misunderstood. Tell me, why didn't you test it after you repaired it? I just saw a record of a failed test, Master Liu. Who is very embarrassed and excited, finally came to his senses. Lao Ji, you are so amazing. Less than 4 hours? 5 boards, and these 2 have been repolished, right? If I didn't know that these were broken, I would have thought you got a bargain. The other people in 109 also spoke excitedly, and the mechanics in other operating areas who were watching were the same. Their hearts changed from disgust and confusion to shock and admiration, and they all used words to express their inner admiration. However, Ji Xinghe didn't want to hear any of these words. He didn't need others' admiration, and he didn't think that he, who could only repair boards now, deserved others' admiration. Stop, all of you stop, Ji Xinghe explained seriously after the surroundings quieted down. When I was on the Blue Star, from the 5th grade of elementary school to now, I only needed 4 or 5 hours of sleep a day. I know my body well, so, let me work overtime for 2 more hours, okay? But the more he said this, the more shocked the people around him were. The person in charge of the 107th operation area exclaimed, "Excuse me, how old are you this year? How old were you in the 5th grade of elementary school?" Before Ji Xinghe answered, Shen Mu couldn't wait to speak. Lao Ji is 65 years old this year. He was 11 years old when he was in the 5th grade of elementary school. You don't need to calculate, I have calculated it. It is a total of 54 years. According to the average sleep time of 8 hours a day for each person, Lao Ji only needs 4.5 hours of sleep. Lao Ji has 68,985 hours more than us in studying, working, and practicing martial arts, which is equivalent to nearly 8 years of sleepless time. So Lao Ji is an 8th level fitter, so Lao Ji is a peerless master, so Lao Ji can still come here at the age of 65, so you should be sensible and trust Lao Ji, and that's all. Lao Ji knows it. The people around continued to be shocked and silent. In fact, Shen Mu didn't say one more thing. Lao Ji still has to take good care of his granddaughter, he will not ignore his own health. Chapter 44 Grandpa goes to fight. He got off work at 2 o'clock, went to bed at 2:20, and got up at 6 o'clock. After washing up, Ji Xinghe came to Xingxin's room at 6:20 and waited quietly. He didn't feel bored because he could rest and exercise while waiting. Resting means closing your eyes and resting your mind, and exercising means standing still. The air pressure and air composition in the alien base are almost the same as those on the Blue Star, but it is impossible to simulate the gravity of the Blue Star. Only 1/3 of the gravity on the Blue Star makes Ji Xinghe feel that the restraint of his body is almost gone. Last night's work didn't make his body tired much, just his eyes were a little tired, but after a night's rest, he was completely fine. Xingxin got up at 7 o'clock. Judging from this time of getting up, Xingxin should have slept very late last night. She lay in bed at more than 8 o'clock and looked like she was sleeping soundly, but who could understand the emotional fluctuations in her heart? Ding! The metal door opened, and Xingxin, who had washed up and changed her clothes independently, was startled when she opened the door to put the dirty clothes. Grandpa, hey, when did you come? Why didn't you knock on the door? You weren't out all night, were you? No, Grandpa had a good rest last night and just came. After Ji Xinghe explained with a smile, the grandfather and grandson went to eat hand in hand. The dirty clothes in Xingxin's hands were also placed on the box at the door, and an automatic robot came to collect them for unified cleaning, disinfection and drying. In the cafeteria, the sleepy people ate very quickly, which was actually very unhealthy, but they didn't even care about their lives, so how could they care about these? After a quick meal, everyone rushed to their respective jobs. There were also some people whose jobs were relatively easy. After eating, they would choose to catch up on sleep, or do something within their ability, such as studying. Some people were just auto mechanics when they came to the alien planet, but they could become mechanics through learning. They did not choose to stop improving because they came to the alien planet. This is also one of the reasons why the Mecha area recruits workers in the base. However, Xingxin, who should learn the most in the base, and some children like Xingxin, do not have the opportunity to go to school every day, because there is no school in the base, and there are no teachers suitable for them. Ji Xinghe thinks this is a problem, but he has no ability to solve it now. He can't teach by himself, and he can't find a suitable teacher. Before, Xingxin's studies were basically taught by her mother herself, combined with relevant teaching videos. However, for Ji Xinghe's age and his work content, he really can't teach. So we should solve the most fundamental problem, cure Xingxin's body as soon as possible so that she can return to the Blue Star to live, and it won't be a problem to go to school 2 years later. Xinghe didn't know what Ji Xinghe was thinking about. After dinner, she said timidly, "Grandpa, you go to work. I'll go back to study." Ji Xinghe smiled and asked, "Xinghe, do you want to go back to your room to study, or do you want to watch Grandpa repair the mecha?" "Xinghe wants to." Xinghe suppressed the words that were about to come out of her mouth and lowered her head. "Xinghe wants to go back to study." Ji Xinghe sighed in her heart and asked, "What if Grandpa wants to fight?" "Fight?" Xinghe looked up at Ji Xinghe again, her big eyes blinking. "Why does Grandpa want to fight?" "Mom said fighting is not good and will get hurt." Xinghe doesn't want Grandpa to get hurt. "Grandpa won't get hurt. Grandpa's fight is the same as the one you saw last time." "Then, do you want to go and watch?" Xinghe hesitated for a long time before she said the truth. "Yes, okay, Grandpa will take Xinghe to watch Grandpa fight." Ji Xinghe glanced at the message and location sent by Suhi on the bracelet screen, and took Xinghe out of the restaurant. He really wanted to fight. Wang Jiyui was not in a good mood. Even though he was recognized by a peerless master last night, he knew very well that it was meaningless. He had not even had breakfast. He actually got up very early. After washing up, he dragged his mechanical legs, which he was not used to the training area of the base and watched the mecha warriors who were doing training. Some of them were doing rehabilitation training, and some were doing adaptive training. The former were injured in the battle and came to the base for treatment. Their injuries were much lighter than those of Wang Jiyui, so they would go to the battlefield after completing rehabilitation training. The latter were mecha warriors who had just arrived on the alien planet. Not all of them had enough talent to go to the battlefield as soon as they arrived on the alien planet. The difference in gravity and the complex surface environment of the alien planet were one aspect, and the real battle was another. But no matter what, after a certain period of training, they could also go to the battlefield. But Wang Jiyui could not go to the battlefield because he lost a leg. There were actually many people like him. They were all temporarily incorporated into the remnant company of the base. What awaited them was retirement, and it was even unlikely that they would stay on the alien planet. However, they didn't want to leave like this, so there were other people around Wang Jiyui. "Hello, I'm Suhi, a war correspondent. Can I interview you?" Hearing this voice, Wang Jiyui's sight did not shift at all, and he continued to look at the mecha warriors who were training in front of him, because Suhi didn't want to interview him. He was actually a little annoyed with Suhi, who kept nagging him early in the morning. "If you interview me, can I go back to fight?" The man with only one arm left looked at Suhi expressionlessly. "Oh, I'm sorry." Suhi was speechless but did not give up. Instead, he looked at another person. "Hello, can I interview you?" "Sure." The third interview target this morning was much gentler, but he didn't look at Suhi when he answered, because he couldn't see Suhi. He was a blind man. "How did your eyes get injured?" "My metra was blown up, and the fragments blinded my eyes. Damage to the eyeball should be treatable. I know there is a kind of mechanical eyeball that can connect to the optic nerve like a camera." "There is, but it is meaningless. Mechanical eyeballs are not as good as human eyes. Dynamic vision, visual range and even, how to say it, pixels, are not as good as human eyes." I asked. "The human eye has 576 million pixels, and the maximum of mechanical eyeballs is only 100 million pixels, so you don't decide to get treatment. If I get treatment, can I go back to fight?" Suhi was speechless again. He felt that his choice of interviewees was wrong. Those who could come to the training area unwillingly at this time all wanted to go back to fight, but no one could make them go back to fight, not even Ji Xinghe. Wang Jiyui finally couldn't help but speak. "Reporter Su, you'd better not interview us disabled people. I appreciate Mr. Ji's kindness, but I was presumptuous to disturb him. Please help me persuade him not to waste his time on a disabled person like me, because he is not only wasting his time, but also the time and resources of all of us." Suhi looked at Wang Jiyui. "Then why don't you talk to him yourself?" "Because I'm embarrassed. I took the initiative to find him, but I backed off after he agreed." "But what if he can help you?" "How? Let me fight like a normal person? Let me fight better than Major Han Li." Wang Jiyui suddenly became emotional. "But after we take off our armor, we are nothing." "Yes, not all gorillas can wear armor, because the Empire does not have so many mechas. But do you know how many times the power of ordinary gorillas on the blue planet is than that of our humans? 4 times. Do you know how many times the power of those gorillas on alien planets is than that of our humans? 6 times on average. Without mechas, no matter how good we are at fighting, it will be meaningless." Suhi was speechless again. He knew that Wang Jiu's emotional excitement was not because of him, not because of Ji Xinghe. But someone answered for Suhi. 4 times, so what? 6 times, so what? Ji Xinghe came with Xinghe, bringing his selfishness and his opportunities. Chapter 45 Because I practice Wing Chun. Master, Lao Ji hasn't come yet. Did he oversleep because he was too tired last night? The people in the 109th operation area were a little absent-minded because the Ji Xinghe they were looking forward to did not come. Master Liu now regretted it a little. Last night, under Ji Xinghe's own strength and the guarantee of Lieutenant Shen Mu, they allowed Ji Xinghe to stay and work overtime. When they came in the morning, they saw that Ji Xinghe had repaired 3 more boards. This time, Ji Xinghe probably decided to go off work and was not in a hurry, so he tested the 3 boards. 8 boards in one night. The number of boards that needed to be repaired in the 109th operation area was directly reduced by a quarter. If there was another day and night, wouldn't they all be repaired? I guess he was tired. When people get old, they just don't admit defeat. My grandfather is like this, and so is Lao Ji. Well, Master Liu hesitated and asked, who of you has Lao Ji's contact number? Contact him and ask. Not getting enough rest is a small matter. If he is exhausted, then. Others shook their heads. They didn't have time to add Ji Xinghe as a contact person. How about I go to where Lao Ji lives and check what I can find? Someone suggested that although this would affect the progress of the work, it was really not worth mentioning compared to the contribution that Ji Xinghe could make. Sharpening the knife does not delay the chopping of wood. Ji Xinghe is now the knife they need very much. Hey, where's Lao Ji? Why didn't he come? The person in charge of the 107 operation area next to him came over and said, have you repaired your boards? Let Lao Ji come to our side after repairing them. The waiting time for the robotic arm is too long. Please help us. We need to catch up with the progress. We don't know why Lao Ji didn't come. Master Liu was very worried, and then he slapped his head and said, go, find Lieutenant Shen Mu. Which operation area is he in? Go and find him. He must have Lao Ji's contact information. Go and ask him quickly. Someone immediately ran to the number 21 operation area and found Shen Mu. This made Shen Mu, who had already started working, worried. He hurriedly contacted Ji Xinghe. When the video communication was successfully connected, Shen Mu was stunned. Lao Ji, where are you? The training area. Why are you going to the training area if you don't come to the mecha area to work? Fighting? I'll be there soon. I'm hanging up. Fighting? Who are you fighting with? Don't hang up, Lao Ji. Shen Mu's mood instantly changed from anxious to itchy. He really wanted to watch Ji Xinghe fight, but he had already arrived at the workplace and couldn't put down the work at hand, so he hurriedly sent a message to Suhi. Show me the video after it's recorded. Master Liu finally knew why Ji Xinghe didn't come, and he was a little angry. Why is this old Ji not doing his job again? Why is he a mechanic going to fight? The base doesn't allow fighting. If he gets hurt, no, I have to stop him. But Master Liu's apprentice suddenly reminded him, Master, Lao Ji is really a peerless master. Major Han Li said so. He even defeated Major Han Li. It shouldn't be a fight, but a duel. Peerless master? Duel. Master Liu thought of last night in the cafeteria, when Ji Xinghe said he wanted to teach others how to fight, but he didn't take it seriously at the time. Obviously. He didn't watch the battle video of Ji Xinghe and Han Li afterwards, but his apprentice did. The person in charge of 107 next to him was stunned. Who is this old Ji? Who are you? Someone in the training area also asked this question, but it was not Wang Jiui and the others, but a mecha warrior who was just defeated by Ji Xinghe. Ji Xinghe didn't say much to Wang Jiui and the others. In many cases, actions are worse than words. After he let go of Xingxin's hand and asked Suhi to help take care of it, he went straight to the location of the mecha warriors and asked for a fight, which was a formal challenge. Compared with Master Liu and others who only cared about mecha maintenance, the mecha warriors were not unfamiliar with the fight between Ji Xinghe and Han Li, so someone immediately accepted the challenge and was knocked to the ground by Ji Xinghe. I am just a 65-year-old man, an old man you all think can't go to the battlefield. Ji Xinghe's words seemed to be answering questions, and also seemed to be spoken to Wang Jiui and others, because Wang Jiui and others were also considered by everyone to be unable to go to the battlefield again. The mecha warriors who were training stopped and looked at Ji Xinghe, including those mecha warriors who were undergoing armor-piercing training, and they also used the side of the mecha to look at Ji Xinghe. A total of more than 70 people and 43 mechas looked at Ji Xinghe eager to try. They were not scared by Ji Xinghe's clean victory just now, and Ji Xinghe was not stage frightened by these eyes and those huge mechas. He stood there with his back straight. The instructors next to him were also watching the fun and did not mind the big things. After a brief discussion, they blew the whistle. Everyone, take off your armor and line up. The mechanical bearings rang out, and the hatches of 43 mechas opened. The mecha warriors in them took off their armor and began to line up. Including the instructors, there were 130 people lined up in front of Ji Xinghe, looking like they were being reviewed, including the defeated mecha warrior just now. Hello, Mr. Ji, I am the instructor here and my surname is Li. Instructor Li walked to Ji Xinghe in standard steps without saying anything about military rank and military branch. Ji Xinghe saluted in a standard way. Sir, Private Ji Xinghe is reporting for duty. The instructor smiled and waved his hand. Don't be so serious, because if you are too serious, your challenge just now is against the rules, and it is also against the rules for him to accept your challenge. Okay, Ji Xinghe nodded and answered before Instructor Li asked a question. Instructor Li, no need to ask, I can do it. Instructor Li was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Ji Xinghe to guess what he was going to ask, but still confirmed, really, okay, Instructor Li said happily, I was going to talk to you today. Since you are here by yourself and you said you can, then help me teach them a lesson. Especially those recruits who have not completed the adaptive training, one by one, they don't know their place. They haven't even learned to walk, but they want to run and fight. Isn't that courting death? Ji Xinghe responded in silence. Wang Jiui and others behind him stood up and looked at his back. The blind man felt sorry for himself as he wanted to see but couldn't. He could only hold the lame man's hand and listen attentively. The lame man was Wang Jiui. Instructor Li asked again, Mr. Ji, you should be very clear about your physical fitness. I will select people one by one. If you are tired, just say pause. There is no rush and we will take it slowly. I will apply for a special allowance for you so that you don't work in vain in the future. I just hope you can teach them all a lesson. Ji Xinghe frowned slightly. He heard from Instructor Li's words that Han Li must have greeted him. This kid. Instructor Li, I'm really in a hurry because I also have my work. Ji Xinghe asked hesitantly, so, can we not come one by one? Instructor Li understood, and everyone else understood, but Instructor Li was still shocked and asked, Mr. Ji, what do you mean? I mean, Ji Xinghe's eyes moved away from Instructor Li, looked at the mecha warriors lined up in an orderly manner, and whispered, I want to fight 10. Instructor Li frowned. Why? Ji Xinghe said frankly, because I practice Wing Chun. This is not the real answer, because what Ji Xinghe really wants to fight is not these mecha warriors, but gorillas. There are gorillas in this base, gorillas of the Empire. P.S. Bosses, please stop raising it. There are 1,200 collections. Today, I asked the editor Feng Bao and she said that there are only a little over 100 follow-up readers. Although this book has the most positive reviews since I started writing a book, but these collections and follow-up readers are not as good as the previous one. The previous book was so bad, and there were more than 600 follow-up readers when it was more than 100,000 words, and the collection was much more than this. There is no recommendation without follow-up readers. Bosses, please help me, take a look every day, and vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. I will write well, and later I will add some cool points while maintaining the style and outline of this book, as reasonable as possible. Chapter 46. The stain begins to spread. Instructor Li didn't understand the necessary connection between practicing Wing Chun and fighting 10 people, but he recalled the battle between Ji Xinghe and Han Li, and the fact that Ji Xinghe had just knocked down a mecha warrior cleanly. After a little hesitation, he started to call the roll. 10 mecha warriors stood up reluctantly, and the other mecha warriors felt a little gloating, but these emotions were only expressed in their expressions and eyes. No one spoke and no one disobeyed. Mr. Ji, please take it easy. I won't talk nonsense. Instructor Li nodded to Ji Xinghe and looked at the 10 mecha warriors again. You should also take it easy. I have told you many times before that you should be able to fight and retreat in battle. Treat this time as a temporary test. Even Instructor Li, who has already determined that Ji Xinghe is a peerless master, does not believe that Ji Xinghe can really fight 10 at a time, not only because Ji Xinghe is old, but also because these mecha warriors are not weak. If they were to face ordinary people on the Azure Star, every mecha warrior would be able to fight 10 with bare hands, And these were the 10 weakest Mecha warriors specially selected by Instructor Lee. Yes, after the 10 Mecha warriors responded, they took combat postures according to their daily training and surrounded Ji Xinghe at the first opportunity. This scene made Sui, Wang Jiyui and others nervous. The most nervous was Xinghe, who was anxious because the group of Mecha warriors she admired the most surrounded her grandfather, so she couldn't see her grandfather. Sui noticed this and wanted to carry Xinghe on his shoulders, but he was not familiar with Xinghe, and she was a girl after all. So he squatted down and put the screen of his bracelet in front of Xinghe, and at the same time controlled the drone to fly to the top of Ji Xinghe's head to shoot, and the picture appeared on the bracelet screen in real time. Xinghe was still very nervous when she saw her grandfather again. She regretted saying that she was going to watch her grandfather fight. If she said she didn't want to watch, would her grandfather not have to fight? But in fact, Ji Xinghe will fight this fight and many more after that. He must fight. Ready. Instructor Lee stood on an equipment box, looking down. Start. The 10 Mecha warriors did not start fighting immediately, because they did not know how to fight so that they could defeat Ji Xinghe without hurting him. Although none of the 10 people were confident that they could defeat Ji Xinghe in a one-on-one fight, it is often said that 2 fists cannot beat 4 hands, not to mention that there are 10 of them now. Fists and feet have no eyes. If something happens, Ji Xinghe, with his old arms and legs, will not recover as easily as young people if he breaks a bone. Instructor Lee and other instructors standing on a high place did not say anything, as if they were going to let it go. They were actually very curious about Ji Xinghe. In this case, Ji Xinghe could only helplessly take action first. I'm sorry, Ji Xinghe suddenly spoke up, which was an apology in advance and a preemptive move. He rushed out as soon as he finished saying these 4 words. His speed was completely unlike that of a 65-year-old man. A Mecha warrior standing in front of Ji Xinghe couldn't react and felt a sharp pain in his abdomen. When his body bent uncontrollably, a huge force came from his shoulders. His body crashed into the 2 Mecha warriors beside him as if it was touched by a running Mecha. The 2 Mecha warriors subconsciously reached out to support their teammates, and their bodies lost balance for a moment. If there was no external interference, none of the 3 of them would fall to the ground, but Ji Xinghe, the instigator, appeared at the right time, which was within his expectations. After stepping on the ground with his right foot, he suddenly exerted force. With only 1/3 of the gravity of the Azure Star, Ji Xinghe's body weight was also reduced. The restraints on his body disappeared a lot, but the power he possessed did not weaken at all. The 1.91 meter tall body suddenly flew into the air, just like Major Han Li before, and the body twisted in the air. Ji Xinghe, who had amazing waist strength, kicked with both feet, hitting the chests of 2 Mecha warriors. With a bang, the 2 Mecha warriors who had just supported their teammates also suddenly flew into the air like Ji Xinghe, but their flight was completely out of control, so they could only fly backwards. Ji Xinghe, who could control his body, stretched out his hand and pressed on the back of the first Mecha warrior he hit, who had not yet completely fallen down. The body lying horizontally in the air actually burst out with amazing waist strength again. When he landed with a perfect somersault, the 3 Mecha warriors surrounding him all fell to the ground. 10 out of 3? No, Ji Xinghe didn't really exert force just now, so the 3 Mecha warriors were still able to stand up, and there was no agreement on how to determine the winner of this 1-on-10 battle, because Instructor Lee and the Mecha warriors thought that everyone was playing, so the 3 people were still able to stand up and continue to participate in the battle. There were still 10 people. Ji Xinghe, who did not think that he was playing for fun, wanted to win, and wanted to win without any dispute, so that he could legitimately challenge the gorillas in the base, and prove that without mechas, humans could be stronger than the imperial gorillas. Go ahead. Ji Xinghe's voice was as loud as a bell, his eyes were as big as copper bells, and he stared at the 7 stunned Mecha warriors like a tiger coming down the mountain. He was inexplicably excited again, just like when he faced Han Li before. He always thought that Han Li, who had used all his strength, did not use all his strength, and was still acting with him. And now these Mecha warriors seem to be really acting with him. Can acting allow me to fight the imperial gorillas? Can acting allow me to fight through armor? Can you make the Federation defeat the Empire by acting? Ji Xinghe, who threw a punch, pushed a hand, and kicked 2 feet, seemed to have suddenly become a different person. His angry look actually frightened the 7 Mecha warriors to take a step back at the same time. The instructors beside them all frowned at the same time. If the fight hadn't continued, they would have definitely shouted at the loser loudly. But what they didn't expect was that Ji Xinghe, who had been polite and apologized before the fight, now cursed for them. Waste. Ji Xinghe took a big step and appeared in front of a mecha warrior. The low-gravity environment and super-high explosive power made him look like he didn't walk over, but jumped over. Before his body landed smoothly, he raised his hand and hit the stunned mecha warrior. After all, he was a mecha warrior. His body's instinctive reaction made him stretch out his hand to block Ji Xinghe's slap, and at the same time, he punched Ji Xinghe in the chest with his other hand. But because of Ji Xinghe's age, even though he was angry now, he held back some of his strength. Ji Xinghe noticed this, so he became even more angry. He actually resisted the punch without dodging, and his right hand hit him harder. With a snap, the hand of the mecha warrior who raised his hand to parry hit his own head, and there was still the force of Ji Xinghe's right hand on it. When his vision went black for a moment, he felt his left leg hit his right leg again, and his whole body fell sideways on the ground uncontrollably. From the perspective of the bystander, when Ji Xinghe hit the mecha warrior, he just took the mecha warrior's fist and kicked lightly. With a bang, the 6 mecha warriors who had not really participated in the battle were shocked at the same time. This old man. The old man patted his chest where he had just been punched, and said the same sentence again while looking at the mecha warriors. You don't even have the strength to beat people, and you still say you are a mecha warrior. This sentence would have become a stain on Major Han Li's life with a battle video of Ji Xinghe versus Han Li, but now this stain is like ink dripping into a bowl of water, spreading in the training area of base number 6. None of the mecha warriors in the training area can be spared. Help me, Ji Xinghe shouted angrily again, and then rushed towards another mecha warrior. At this time, these mecha warriors finally couldn't bear it anymore. They decided to temporarily forget the traditional virtue of respecting the elderly and loving the young, and rushed towards Ji Xinghe with a roar, including the 3 mecha warriors who were knocked to the ground at the beginning. Then, they flew back with a roar. 1 against 10, Ji Xinghe won, but this was not the end, but a beginning. Chapter 47, 300 million people watching together. Pa. Instructor Li jumped down from the equipment box, clapping his hands. His applause was like the machine guns equipped on some mechas, sweeping across the dusty faces of the 10 mecha warriors. Several other instructors also began to applaud. The applause was very clear in the quiet training area, as if it formed a fire coverage area with a gun line of Instructor Li, making the dusty faces of the 10 mecha warriors almost stick to the ground. Pa. Another round of crisp applause rang out, coming from Xinghe besides Suhi. When she clapped, her face turned red, and her hands turned red after a few claps, which made Ji Xinghe feel distressed when he saw this scene. But her applause was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. The 10 mecha warriors lowered their heads and began to look for cracks on the ground to get in, but unfortunately there were no cracks on the ground. The training area specially used for training mecha warriors was just bumpy. I'm sorry, everyone, Ji Xinghe seemed like a different person after stopping the fight. He apologized to the mecha warriors. I get impulsive easily when I fight, and you didn't take action, so. I'm sorry, I said something wrong just now. No, Mr. Ji, you didn't say anything wrong. Instructor Li stopped clapping and looked at the 10 mecha warriors expressionlessly. They are trash, they are not worthy of being mecha warriors. They don't even have the strength to hit people, so how can they fight the imperial gorillas and the imperial mechas? The mecha warriors were speechless and kept their heads down in silence. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that you are mecha warriors, and you are fighting in mechas instead of fighting the imperial apes with bare hands, so it is not important whether you can defeat Mr. Ji. If you are wearing mechas, 10 or 100 Mr. Ji are not your opponents. If Mr. Ji is also wearing a mecha, he cannot defeat you like he did just now. Is that right? No one answered Instructor Li's question, and no one needed to answer it, because it is a recognized fact that humans cannot defeat mechas with pilots with bare hands. Ji Xinghe also thinks so, unless he has a knife. No one knows what Ji Xinghe is thinking, otherwise today's topic will definitely go off track. Instructor Li looked at the silent mecha warriors, some of whom were defeated by Ji Xinghe, and some who were not defeated by Ji Xinghe. Your teachers should have told you in school, and I have mentioned it to you more than once, that mechas are different from guns, cannons, missiles, starships and other war weapons. You cannot think of it as a weapon, but as an extension of your body. It's not a gun. Once the bullet is fired, it's fired. If you miss, shoot again. In a battle between mechas, there is no chance for you to fire again. If you miss, you will be hit by the enemy's mecha. If you are lucky, you can resist for a few hits, but if you are unlucky, you will die on the spot. The mecha can protect you, but the premise is that you have to know how to use it. If you can't use it, it will only become a burden to you. In this case, what is driving a mecha to fight more like? It's more like using cold weapons to fight in ancient times. Cold weapons are the mechas of the ancient people, and they are extensions of their bodies. The mecha warriors have heard such words many times. But it is the first time that Ji Xinghe has heard such words in person, and his eyes brightened. Instructor Li continued, yes, a lot of the fighting skills that your body can use cannot be used at all when using mechas. But this does not mean that the body's fighting skills are completely useless for driving a mecha. On the contrary, the reason why we want to train all of you in close combat skills is because this is very useful for driving a mecha in battle. It's not that the fighting skills themselves are useful. Of course, some fighting skills are indeed very useful and can be embodied in mechas. But most fighting skills cannot be embodied, so what is really useful is not the fighting skills themselves, but you who can use those fighting skills skillfully, and it is the combat experience. The strength of the human body is limited, and the fighting skills that can be used are also limited. Under limited premises, Mr. Ji was able to fight 10 people at the age of 65. So, if Mr. Ji can drive a mecha and has the same operating level as you, I would like to ask, can he fight 10 people at the same level? The mecha warriors continued to be silent. I think the answer is yes. Instructor Li spoke with reason and evidence, because when you were not wearing armor, you were stronger than Mr. Ji, faster than him, and had better reaction speed than him, but you still lost. And if everyone was wearing armor and fighting, the strength and speed you can use would be limited to the same level. So what reason do you have to win? Ji Xinghe's eyes were almost shining. Instructor Li knows me well. He looked at Instructor Li with burning eyes, waiting for Instructor Li to tell him to drive the mecha, but Instructor Li had no such idea at all. Who would let a 65-year-old man drive a mecha to fight? Instructor Li said it well, but he was actually changing the concept, because in theory, Ji Xinghe, who was driving the mecha, could not fully exert the performance of the mecha, and his body could not bear it, so there was no such thing as everyone's strength and speed being at the same level. It was just in theory. Instructor Li not only did not think of letting Ji Xinghe drive the mecha, but also misunderstood it, and said solemnly, please say a few words. Ji Xinghe was a little disappointed, but he did not take the opportunity to ask for his own request to drive the mecha, because the strength he showed now was not enough, and he did not have the capital to make others believe in him. If he forced to speak, he would only be rejected. He was not afraid of rejection, he was only afraid that others would guess his true purpose and resist and reject him. Okay, I'll say a few words. Ji Xinghe glanced at the time, 8:30, he was already half an hour late. I know you are very unconvinced in your hearts, because I was trying to please you in the battle just now. At the beginning, you were not serious. When you got serious, I had already divided you. The 10 of you could not join forces to deal with me, so there was the illusion that I was 1 against 10. You are not so unbearable. Unbearable? Old G, is it necessary to use this word? The mecha warriors did not actually have any resentment or anger in their hearts. They were just very unconvinced, as Ji Xinghe said. One-on-one, none of you should be my opponent. Ji Xinghe was a little hesitant when he said this, but for his own goal, he still boasted, attracting the attention of more than 100 mecha warriors. Instructor Li added beside him, you can remove the word should. In a one-on-one situation, none of them can be your opponent, really? Ji Xinghe believed in Instructor Li, a professional, and his confidence surged again. Just now I thought I would lose, but I didn't expect that I didn't lose, because you can't let go. So I won't fight 1 against 10 anymore. 1 against 3, I will beat you all, and then 1 against 4, 1 against 5, beat all of us? This old G pointed to the drone flying in the air. I hope you will be serious, otherwise, you will appear in a documentary about me. Well, a documentary pushed by the whole Federation, not to mention the mecha warriors. Instructor Li and others were also stunned. Documentary? Ji Xinghe turned around and asked, Reporter Su, how many views has the first episode of my documentary had? Su, he shouted, it's already 300 million. Ji Xinghe turned around and looked at the more than 100 mecha warriors. This time he was not watching the mecha warriors alone, but watching them with 300 million people. Chapter 48. Lao Ji is right. I'll come over at noon. I'll have about an hour. I hope you guys can be ready. Ji Xinghe was going to work. In fact, this was also his job, but the specific salary for this job had not yet been determined. Coming here to fight 10 people alone was considered as evidence of his lobbying to Instructor Li. One morning should be enough for Instructor Li to help him apply for a subsidy. Originally, Han Li hoped that Ji Xinghe would work as a specially appointed instructor in the training area of the base to teach these mecha warriors the relevant skills of close combat. But Han Li underestimated Ji Xinghe's talent in mechanical repair, and also underestimated Ji Xinghe's energy and time. Ji Xinghe would not underestimate himself. He was just a little unconfident before, but now he has it. These confidences came from Han Li, from the 10 mecha warriors he defeated, from Master Liu's affirmation, and from his repair speed and success rate when repairing the energy transmission board. Okay, Mr. Ji, please rest assured. They will be ready when you come over at noon. If you can, just call me Lao Ji. Okay, Lao Ji, take care. Instructor Li smiled and said goodbye to Ji Xinghe. When he turned to look at the mecha warriors, his face was expressionless and his voice was no longer gentle. You guys really embarrass me. When Major Han Li told me about it before, I didn't take it seriously. After all, Lao Ji is already 65 years old. No matter how good he is at fighting, there is a limit. But now it seems I haven't trained you enough. You can't even beat Lao Ji, who is 65 years old. Do you still want to fight the imperial gorilla? Amid the questioning, a mecha warrior suddenly raised his hand to ask a question. Speak, instructor, can you beat Lao Ji? Instructor Li, don't talk nonsense. You form teams by yourselves, 3 people in a group. If you can't knock Lao Ji down, 300 million people are watching. I will never let reporters blur your faces. Do you hear me? I heard it. The mecha warriors not only heard it, but also understood it. Their instructor couldn't beat Ji Xinghe. So he left with Ji Xinghe, so he didn't take pictures of this scene. He followed behind Ji Xinghe and looked at Ji Xinghe's back with a lot of respect. If Ji Xinghe was able to defeat Han Li before, it might be Major Han Li's acting, then today's 1 against 10 was just a trick, and it was enough to show Ji Xinghe's identity as a peerless master. The camera focused on Ji Xinghe's upper body, without shooting Xinghe, and so he began his job. Old Ji, why are you so good at fighting? Actually, I didn't know I was so good at fighting before. Have you never fought with anyone before? No, I've just been practicing blindly. So he was somewhat glad that he didn't interview Ji Xinghe in the training area, otherwise this statement would definitely anger everyone. If Ji Xinghe, who could fight 10 people alone, was just practicing blindly, then what about the defeated mecha warriors? That's not right, old Ji, you don't have any actual combat experience. How can you be so good at fighting? Because I practice Wing Chun, and Wing Chun has wooden dummies to fight with, which is actually similar to actual combat. Ji Xinghe has actually fought with others. His son Ji Xinghe used to fight with him often. Ji Xinghe also fought many times after learning military fighting skills when he was in school, but he doesn't want to talk about it now. So he knew what a wooden man was, and asked curiously, but a wooden man is also dead, how can it be compared with a real person? The wooden man is dead, but when I hit the wooden man comes alive. The faster I hit, the faster the wooden man will go, and the harder I hit, the harder the wooden man will hit me. A picture suddenly appeared in Suhi's mind. In the room, Ji Xinghe was madly attacking the wooden man, and the wooden man turned into a phantom. Old Ji, how good are you now? I don't know. Yes, because I have no actual combat experience. Didn't you just say that hitting the wooden man is equivalent to having actual combat experience? Equivalent, but not. Real actual combat experience is like me fighting with Han Li, and me fighting with those mecha warriors. Suhi was stunned for a moment, and then exclaimed, Old Ji, are you saying that your strength can be improved? Yeah, Ji Xinghe hummed, without any hesitation, because that's what he thought. He came to the training area to fight not only for Wang Jiyue and the others, nor just for the special allowance, but also for himself. He needed practical experience, and he could become stronger. Strong enough that one day when he said he wanted to fight the imperial gorilla in a duel, no one would stop him. Strong enough that one day when he said he wanted to wear armor, no one would stop him. Strong enough that one day Shen Mu could say to everyone, you must believe in Lao Ji. Grandpa, Xinghe looked up and asked, can you teach Xinghe how to fight? Because Xinghe also wants to be a mecha warrior. Ji Xinghe laughed happily, not because of Xinghe's dream. In fact, he didn't want Xinghe to be a mecha warrior. He only wanted Xinghe to be a doctor. The reason why he was happy was because Xinghe began to make direct requests to him and was willing to tell him what was in her mind directly. This was very good. Of course, but martial arts training is very hard. Can Xinghe stick to it? Yes, Xinghe can do it. Okay, Grandpa will teach you. Thank you, Grandpa, you are so nice. You're welcome, because I am your grandpa. Ji Xinghe had a big smile on his face. He hadn't smiled like this for a long time, but he didn't start teaching Xinghe immediately because he hadn't got Xinghe's physical examination report yet. Nurse Wang said yesterday that Xinghe's routine physical examination would be in 3 days. In the mecha area, Ji Xinghe's arrival did not cause any waves, because the people here didn't know that he had just faced 10 mecha warriors in the training area. Although his efficiency in repairing the energy transmission board is high, it has not been spread. At present, only people in the 5 operating areas of 109, 107, 106, 108, and 21 know it. Old G, did you win? Yes. Oh, Master Liu actually wanted to ask, but he was really busy now, so he said oh and continued to repair the mecha. There are many parts of the damaged mecha, some of which can be disassembled for repair, and some have to be repaired on the mecha. It is really not easy to climb up and down. Ji Xinghe did not say much. After asking Suhi to help look after Xinghe, he also entered the working state. He had to repair all the boards of 109 as soon as possible, and then go to other operating areas to repair boards until he finished all the boards that needed to be repaired. Xinghe did not make a noise, but watched quietly by the side. Whether it was the way Ji Xinghe repaired the board or the way Master Liu and others repaired the mecha, they were full of attraction to her, because she really wanted to be a mecha warrior. A morning passed like this, but when everyone was about to go to dinner, they encountered a small problem. No one came to do the actual machine test? What's the matter? Aren't there many mecha warriors in the training area? Let them send a few more. Master Liu, who had repaired a mecha, was a little angry, because the actual operation must have a mecha warrior to drive the mecha, but today the mecha warriors in the mecha area are not enough. The mecha warriors in the training area who usually come to help did not come today. Suhi, who was standing next to him, heard this and immediately looked at Ji Xinghe with a strange look. He knew why the mecha warriors in the training area didn't come today. They were rubbing their hands and waiting for Lao Ji to come over and fight them. Ji Xinghe coughed dryly, not because of embarrassment, but because he decided to seize the opportunity he had accidentally created this time. Master Liu, actually, I can drive a mecha. Otherwise, I will do a real machine test. You? Master Liu was stunned. Lao Ji, didn't you say before that you have never touched a mecha, but I can repair boards and other parts? Ji Xinghe immediately decided to lie, because the mecha that needed to be tested was one of the federal standard mechas that he was best at. He was very confident. After I joined the army, I drove a mecha to fight Major Han Li. If you don't believe me, ask reporter Su. 109. Everyone's eyes were instantly focused on Suhi. Suhi recalled the armor-piercing battle between Ji Xinghe and Han Li. Ji Xinghe was killed instantly by Han Li, but from a certain point of view, it was indeed a battle through armor, so he gritted his teeth and said, Old Ji is right. P.S. Please collect, recommend, and vote for the monthly ticket. Bosses, data is very important. It is related to the recommendation position. Thank you, bosses. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. Don't worry. Maybe it was because of Ji Xinghe's status as an 8th level fitter, maybe it was because of the speed of repairing the board, maybe it was because Lieutenant Shen Mu said that you have to trust Lao Ji, maybe it was because he knew that Ji Xinghe went to the training area to fight earlier today, maybe it was because of Major Han Li, maybe it was because of the little girl who suddenly jumped for joy. No matter what the reason was, Master Liu actually chose to violate the rules. Okay, Lao Ji, you try it. The old rules, if it breaks, it's your fault. Ji Xinghe nodded and walked behind a mecha standing solemnly. This is the 16th generation standard mecha of the Federation, and it is also a mecha hero in the game Star Glory that Ji Xinghe won the national service title, so he is very familiar with it. The predecessor of the immersive virtual reality game Star Glory is the military virtual reality technology used by the Federation to select the first generation of mecha warriors and train mecha warriors. Although it has been simplified a lot after gamification, and many game skills have been added to mecha heroes, it can still claim to be a real simulation. The 109 mechanics next to them began to direct the process of the actual machine test. They were a little nervous at this time, because the actual machine test was not only related to whether the mecha was successfully repaired, but also to the new damage that might occur, and even the casualties of the test personnel due to some unnoticed reasons. But Master Liu was the person in charge of 109, and Ji Xinghe now had some prestige. In addition, Ji Xinghe was old, so no one dared to refuse or stop them. The lieutenant colonel who could stop them was not on the mecha area at this time. The other operating areas were actually very busy, and no one could notice what was happening in 109. The actual machine test begins. The first step is to open the hatch. Ji Xinghe had already put another bracelet on his hand. After hearing the relevant instructions for the actual machine test, he pressed the bracelet twice, and a click sounded. The back of the 4.2-meter-high mecha instantly cracked, and the bottom of the cockpit was 1.5 meters above the ground. There was no metal ladder for easy entry, and no convenient climbing handrails. But this is not difficult for Ji Xinghe. Not to mention that this is an alien planet with lower gravity. Even on the blue planet with normal gravity, Ji Xinghe can jump up. The only thing he needs to pay attention to when jumping up on an alien planet is not to jump too high. When Ji Xinghe jumped into the cockpit lightly, the eyes of the people around him were a little surprised. They were not surprised that Ji Xinghe could jump up. Each of them could jump so high, but none of them could jump as gracefully as Ji Xinghe. Some of them even felt that Ji Xinghe was more graceful than those professional mecha warriors. The simple action of jumping into the cockpit actually gave them a beautiful feeling. The second step is synchronous adaptation. The actual machine test continued. When the prompt sounded, Ji Xinghe, who jumped into the cockpit, had already stood steadily on the two pedals. The end of the pedals extended into the two legs of the mecha, but it was definitely not a simple extension. The complex mechanical structure made Ji Xinghe feel that it was a bit difficult to repair. The clicking sound continued, and the metal rings on the pedals automatically buckled Ji Xinghe's feet. His knees were also locked by the metal rings, but it did not affect his bending of his knees. After holding the helmet in the cockpit with both hands and putting it on, his vision became dark, but Ji Xinghe was very skilled in putting his hands down naturally and inserting them into the metal devices that looked like two gun muzzles on his chest in the cockpit. After a burst of mechanical sounds, his 10 fingers felt the metal that fit very well. The movement of his fingers was affected a little, but it didn't matter, because the design of the hands of the Federation's 16th generation standard mecha did not focus on the fingers. From the outside, it looked like wearing metal gloves, with 4 fingers fitting together and only the thumbs separated. The prompt sound of the adaptation detection sounded in Ji Xinghe's ears, and his vision was finally no longer dark. The integrated images from the cameras in the mecha's head and other parts appeared, similar to the related logos of the intelligent assistance system on the monitoring screen. Adaptation successful. Welcome, Private Ji Xinghe. This kind of prompt can only be heard inside the base, because when the mecha is inside the base, it can connect to the base's local area network, and when it is outside the base in the complex alien environment, the network's inconvenience will cause data loss. At that time, there is only welcome, no Private Ji Xinghe. The third step is the communication test. Lao Ji, can you hear me? I can hear you, okay. The fourth step is the tactical action test. Lao Ji, you believe me, okay. Although they promised to believe Ji Xinghe, the people of 109 still collectively retreated 3 or 4 meters when they confirmed that the tactical action test was about to begin. They were about 7 or 8 meters away from the mecha, and this retreat basically left the mecha's attack range. Xinghe was also led back by Suhi. Her eyes were shining when she looked at the mecha, which was completely different from her previous look at any mecha, because she knew that the mecha warrior who was driving this mecha was her grandfather. Yes, in Xinghe's eyes, her grandfather is a mecha warrior at this moment, and those who can drive mechas are all mecha warriors. Standard Tactical Action 1, Start. The mechanic of 109 reminded softly to the communicator. Ji Xinghe inside the mecha had already started the operation when the sound of the 2 words start just fell. He dragged the 2 metal devices like gun barrels with both hands, and his feet moved with it. The sound of the collapse sounded, and the tall mecha had already stepped forward with its left foot. When the body tilted, the right hand had already completed the fist, and the right fist blasted out at the same time when the left foot landed. The strong wind blew the hair of the mechanics in front of them. Some people couldn't help but take a few steps back again. It's not that they haven't seen the mecha punch, but because they didn't expect Ji Xinghe's movements to be so fast, and the operation was completed when the command was just issued. In fact, what they didn't know was that Ji Xinghe could actually be faster, but he felt that since this was a real machine test, he must wait until the 2 words start were finished before he could move. Very good, Lao Ji, you are really good. This praise was not from the heart. As professional mechanics, each of them can complete such simple standard tactical actions, but the reason why they are mechanics instead of mecha warriors is because mecha warriors can not only perform standard tactical actions. Those non-standard tactical actions that put more strain on the body are the reason why mecha warriors can stand out from billions of people. But it's just a real machine test, there is no need to make it too complicated. Lao Ji, return to your position, and then standard tactical action 2. Ji Xinghe controlled the mecha to step back and stand back to the original position, and then performed standard tactical action 2, which was also very perfect, almost the same as the demonstration in the textbook. Beautiful, Lao Ji, return to your position, standard tactical action 3. The standard tactical action instructions were reminded by the mechanic one after another. This was actually not in line with the test process. Disrupting the order of standard tactical actions for testing is the real test, but when the driver is Ji Xinghe, everyone still has some lack of trust. Good, very good, the test is completed, the system test passed. Lao Ji, what do you think? Master Liu asked after looking at the system prompt. The actual machine test needs to be verified by the system and the verification of the mecha warrior. Double certification can be foolproof. But in general, after completing the relevant operations of the actual machine test, if there is no alarm prompt in the system, it means that the mecha has been repaired. So, when Ji Xinghe, who should have responded that there was no problem at the first time, suddenly became silent, the mechanics of 109 became nervous. Lao Ji? Is there a problem? Ji Xinghe was hesitating, and when Master Liu asked him, he made up his mind. No problem. Master Liu and others breathed a sigh of relief. Lao Ji, you are scary, suddenly playing silence, come down if there is no problem. Ji Xinghe actually didn't want to come down. His silence was because he wanted to try non-standard tactical actions. He could feel that he could complete it, but he was afraid of scaring Master Liu and others. He was afraid that he would not have the opportunity to conduct actual machine testing in the future. Okay, but Ji Xinghe finally came down because he couldn't be anxious. Although he was very anxious, he really couldn't be anxious. Being young gives you the capital to make mistakes, but he is no longer young. You can play games again, but reality is not a game, so he must not make mistakes. Ji Xinghe, don't worry. Repair the mecha more, do more real machine tests, and fight more in the training area. You can continue to grow. You are growing. You are only 65 years old. You have not reached your limit. You have no limit. Ji Xinghe said to himself in his heart, P.S. I hope that each of us has no limit. I hope that each of us can live and learn. I hope that each of us can do what we can do and work hard to do what others think we can't do, but we want to do. Chapter 50 Accountability. Bang, bang. In one morning, they have confirmed that Ji Xinghe and Suhi were not lying. There really is a documentary called The Old Man and the Sea of Stars. The number of views of the first episode on the Azure Star has reached 300 million, and it is still increasing. It is not scary to be defeated by Ji Xinghe, a 65-year-old man. It is not scary to be defeated by 1 against 3 or even 1 against 10. What is scary is that 300 million people watch them being defeated like this. They didn't want to go back to the Azure Star in the first place, and now they don't want to go back even more, because in their opinion they are already dead in front of 300 million people. So he can also guess what these mecha warriors are thinking. He actually has no intention of making things difficult for these mecha warriors. These people are heroes. Don't worry, I will censor it for you. Really, I promise to censor it for you. Besides, it's not shameful to be defeated by Lao Ji. The battle between Major Han Li and Lao Ji has been transmitted back to a land star. My colleagues are editing it. When the time comes, Major Han Li will be in the front. What are you afraid of? It seems, that's the truth. Then accept my interview. Oh, no, my stomach hurts. I should be injured by Lao Ji. I'm going to the infirmary first. Bye. Suhi looked helpless, But there were still people willing to accept Suhi's interview, but they were not interviewed in the cafeteria, because the seats in the cafeteria were actually very tight. The reason why everyone ate so quickly was not only because they were busy with work, but also because they couldn't occupy too long and cause others to have no seats. After agreeing on the interview time, Suhi continued to run to the mecha area to take pictures of Ji Xinghe. He didn't take pictures of the lunch process. In fact, there was no need to take pictures. He was just eating. Moreover, Ji Xinghe has to take care of his granddaughter while eating, and now there is still some controversy in the department in charge of publicity about whether Ji Xinghe has a granddaughter. Just as Shen Mu was very angry when he heard about Xingqian's affairs and wanted to beat Ji Xinghe, the sacrificed combat hero, most people will inexplicably demand that heroes be perfect and without any stains. But in fact, heroes are also human beings. They have the same emotions, impulses, accidents and difficult choices in the face of certain problems as ordinary people. They are all imperfect and normal. So Suhi tried not to take pictures of Xingqian as much as possible, which was in line with Ji Xinghe's idea, even if Xingqian would say she was willing because she was sensible. The repair work in the afternoon went on normally. Ji Xinghe, who had driven a real mecha for the first time, seemed to have suddenly realized something and sublimated. His repair speed was improved again, and the success rate of repairs is still 100% so far. A day later, in addition to fighting a few times in the training area, he actually repaired most of the 109 board, which gave him the opportunity to conduct a second real machine test. The mecha warriors who applied for the real machine test also need to queue up, because the mecha area of the base has 150 operating intervals. It can be said that there are mechas that need to be tested every moment after repair. And the rarity of mecha warriors makes it impossible for the mecha area to be equipped with so many. Master Liu waved his hand, and Ji Xinghe became the mechanic and mecha warrior, real machine test, of 109. Anyway, the real machine test only needs to complete standard tactical actions. Ji Xinghe also gained a certain degree of trust after proving his driving skills. The second real machine test was also completed perfectly. There was no problem with the maintenance technology of Master Liu and Ji Xinghe, even though the mecha tested in the afternoon was not the same standard mecha tested in the morning. But what was coming finally came. Private Ji Xinghe, here, Ji Xinghe came to the lieutenant colonel officer who had troubled him twice before. He now knew that the lieutenant colonel officer was called Chen Sun, a lieutenant colonel staff of the base's general staff, command post, responsible for the coordination and management of many affairs of the base. Suhi also followed nervously, holding the camera and not knowing whether he should take the photo. He knew very well that Ji Xinghe had violated the rules again, and not just once. Whether it was fighting in the training area or driving a mecha for actual machine testing, they were all violations beyond Ji Xinghe's authority, and he could be considered an accomplice because he gave false testimony to Ji Xinghe. Don't be nervous, you can take the photo. Although Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun still had a blank expression on his face, his attitude was much gentler than before. It was unknown whether it was because Ji Xinghe gradually showed his own value beyond Superman's expectations. Okay, thank you. Suhi gave Ji Xinghe a look that said he didn't need to worry, but Ji Xinghe didn't see it because he was looking at Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun. 3 things, Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun said calmly. The first thing is that the special allowance that Instructor Li applied for you has been approved, but you have 2 choices. One is to go to the training area as a specially hired close combat instructor, 20,000 contribution points per month, and the other is to work part-time, at least 2 hours a day, and the monthly subsidy is 3,000 contribution points. It was a little, but Ji Xinghe still made a choice at the first time. I choose part-time. Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun was not surprised by Ji Xinghe's choice, and nodded slightly. Okay, please confirm the task log on your bracelet in 5 minutes. The second thing is that your maintenance salary level in the mecha area has also been determined. Because you are not formally employed in any operating area, you have no basic salary. Your previous basic salary was for the regular repair area, but you refused to report, so your basic salary was cancelled. In other words, you have no basic salary, only piece rate maintenance salary. The specific amount should refer to different part standards. There will be relevant prompts on your task log. Excuse me, do you have any objections? No objection, Ji Xinghe answered without hesitation. This was something he had thought about before. It could be considered a part-time job. He had only been at the base for 2 days, but he already held 2 positions. The third thing, Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun's tone became serious again. Private Ji Xinghe, you will be held accountable for the 2 illegal operations today. Please wait for subsequent notifications for the specific contents of the accountability. Accountability? Ji Xinghe was stunned. He was not actually worried about the accountability itself, because he dared to conduct the real machine test, and Master Liu dared to agree to it, which could show that this illegal operation itself was nothing. What he was really worried about was that he would never have the opportunity to improve his mecha driving experience through a real machine test again. So he clearly saw that Ji Xinghe's expression had become gloomy, and Xinghe in the distance was also worried and wanted to come over, but she was too scared to come over. She was not afraid of Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun, but she was afraid that her appearance would affect her grandfather. She actually knew very well that not everyone in the base liked her or children like her. Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun, Sui summoned up his courage. Are there any remedial measures? Besides, Lao Ji never had any problems when driving the mecha, and Master Liu said it was fine. Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun looked at Sui, still expressionless. No problems does not mean there won't be problems. Some things may seem small, but if an accident occurs, the consequences will be huge. Reporter Su, can you take this responsibility? But, Sui wanted to bring up Han Li, but he knew very well that Ji Xinghe's performance in that battle was actually a bit disgraceful, because he was killed instantly, and in the virtual world. Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun's gaze returned to Ji Xinghe, his tone cold. Private Ji Xinghe, if you are really capable, you can take the exam. Exam? Ji Xinghe's eyes brightened up again. Mech warrior exam? But they said I can't take it, saying I'm too old. This is an alien planet, not a blue planet. Under the premise of complying with the law and relevant regulations and procedures, people and things should be used to their full potential. Lieutenant Colonel Chen Sun's tone was still cold, and his words were as cold as a machine, but Ji Xinghe could feel a hint of warmth from it, and his heart became hot because of it. Please vote. The first wave of battle is about to begin, not an exam. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.